Nearly a dozen DSA activists have reportedly signed a pledge to support and defend China. This amid an apparent push by the communist nation to court socialists in America. Meanwhile, New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani is facing backlash for his socialist policies. Now, according to Politico, Mamdani's finance agency urged him to tone down his contentious tax the rich rollout. It reports, quote, behind the scenes, veterans of city government had tried to convince Mamdani's team not to deliver the news in such a splashy way. Officials in New York City's Department of Finance, which is responsible for implementing and collecting the new tax, urged the mayor's staff to take a more staid approach.
They asked Democrats, do you identify as a socialist, a democratic socialist? 34% said yes.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And it doesn't surprise me. I think over the last 10 years, there were people that I knew working in Democratic politics that ardently supported Hillary Clinton in 2016 and have now swung way to the left and are, now telling me that they're behind people like Abdul al-Sayed. And I think the base has actually radicalized in a more far left direction. I don't think that's a good thing, just so you guys know. I think it's actually like, the establishment Democrats kind of lost the trust of people in my family, right? Because they weren't able to economically deliver. It was sort of just pushing the status quo. Although Barack Obama did give me health care, and so I am really grateful for that, and I will always be because I have a lung disease similar to cystic fibrosis. However, other than that, there wasn't a lot of big transformation. And so the progressives are coming along and they're promising that. But they also come with all of this sort of far left cultural and social baggage that is not appealing at all to the working class of this country. And I think could drive an either bigger wedge between Democrats and people like my family.
Hello?
Tim in Georgia, which party do you plan to vote for in November?
Well, I'm a little bit confused on that right now because the Democrats have lost their mind. This is insanity what is going on. You're sitting here and telling me that the United States of America is going to have a socialist party that is going to be running the country? What military? I did 11 years and as a disabled veteran, I would never join the military and fight for a socialist republic. This is insanity. So now I'm thinking I have to vote Republican to stop this from going on.
The New York Post reporting, quote, members of Mamdani's DSA pledged to support and defend China. The pledge says, quote, survival of Chinese socialism is a crucial matter. Socialists' other promises, government subsidized housing, free college, Medicare for all, and a shorter work week, and abolishing ICE, among other things. We just got a statement from the Prime Minister of Spain who says that they're speeding up repatriation of the migrants who have entered Ceuta irregularly since yesterday. And we should note that a country has the right and the obligation to control its borders. But when you watch thousands of people like you're watching here on your screens, willing to risk their death, willing to risk drowning just for the chance of a better life, it's also worth asking, what are they running from?
Right. And in this part of Spain, Ceuta, this is like a 10-mile swim as well. So imagine the degree of danger involved. Look at these little kids on floaters out there.
You have to think to yourself, no one wakes up and says, today I want to risk my life swimming to another country. People only do that when they feel the alternative is worse.
Absolutely, in desperation.
Look at the woman waving them in. No, please come in. Please, all of you, come. Whatever you do, keep coming. I feel for you, poor peoples. You oppressed peoples just looking for a better life. Please come. That is some serious suicidal empathy if I ever saw it. That defined suicidal empathy. At this point, you guys you're probably going to get tired of me saying it. You're probably getting tired of hearing it. But I keep telling you, there is so much propaganda and gaslighting going on that it's beyond the pale. And I don't even know at this point how they can say it with a straight face. When they show these polls, Trump's, it's really hurting right now. Things aren't doing good. He's in the lowest approval rating ever. The Democrats are winning all these races. The only way that could be true is if nothing we're seeing in real life would be happening. What we saw yesterday in Spain and also in today as it continued should strike fear into the heart of every person in America, regardless of what party you're in. CBS had to get on television this morning and make an excuse. They're trying to find just a better life. That's why they're all escaping to Sieta. Didn't look like they were looking for a better life when they were breaking into different places last night and doing things, but that's the message they want to send. When I hear those messages, when I want to impart upon you, is when you hear that kind of messaging, that should make you smile. Why is that? Because they're trying to cover up what your eyes are actually seeing. Oh, that's not what you're seeing. You're not seeing an invasion. You're seeing people trying to find a better life. They're willing to risk life and limb to get a better life. Don't you know what they're running from? Instead of, I don't care. They shouldn't be coming to my country uninvited. In your nice little studio in CBS Manhattan, if you guys have ever gone to any one of these studios, you can't walk in. You go to a front desk and they're basically going to strip search you before they even let you get to an elevator. You just can't walk in. Hey, I'm here to see so-and-so. I want to see Margaret Brennan. Nope, ain't gonna happen. You got a reservation? We'll have to call somebody. We'll bring it down here. They'll escort you up. You just can't walk in. So every time I personally hear somebody in the news try to de-emphasize what is actually happening, what I'm seeing with my own eyes, it makes me smile. Because if it wasn't affecting the Democrats, if it wasn't causing Americans to look side-eye, then they wouldn't have to gaslight people. They wouldn't have to try and come up with some other conjured image of what you're actually seeing. The fact that they're using propaganda, the fact that they're trying to gaslight you, the fact that you feel like you're in a psyop is because you are. Your eyes tell you what you see. I don't need you to tell me it's because of some other reason. The bottom line, all that you're trying to hide is they kicked in the door and decided 50,000 of them were just going to show up in somebody else's country and tell you people who live there, F off. That's the news. That will always be the news. The truth is the news. Don't try to paint it with some sort of broad brush to make it come across any differently than it is. At this point, you have to be able to discern that. Now let's go back to the initial stuff I was showing you about the Democrat Socialists, which I think at this point, let's just stop with that name. Let's just never say Democrat Socialists again. After what I'm going to show you today, let's just call them communists. They don't like that either. Now they're trying to push away from that. The messaging doesn't work because people are starting to associate the socialists with being communist. And so you've got all these Democrats going out there now and going, oh, it's not that. They're just saying that. They're making it up to make it sound bad. Except the people themselves are actually saying it. Again, the news is what it is. The paintbrush tries to change the news. What you're seeing isn't really true. Here, I'll tell you what it really means. It means that you guys on the right will say anything to try and make us think that it's not what it is. When, in fact, it is definitely what it is. That leopard, that apple, all the analogies, it ain't changing. The apple ain't becoming orange. The zebra not's changing its stripes. They are communist. Now we have proof today. A little story that I saw Fox break, and then I saw the New York Post talk about it, and then it disappeared. Nobody wanted to talk about this. So let me bring it to you real quick. Hopefully it shows up here. I got this article, not mine. I got it from the New York Post and the London Times of London. Obviously, I did this because it formats better directly in X. So the article wrote, it says, members of Mandami's DSA pledge to support, and more importantly, support and defend, not just support and defend China. Survival of Chinese socialism is of a tantamount importance to these people. I didn't say it. I didn't make it up. That's the story. The story is what it is. I don't want to hear excuses. I don't want to know anything about what your opinion is. The story is the story. So let's continue with the story. And just if you've seen this link, excuse me, on my Twitter profile, I actually put the two links at the very top that you can go to and actually see them. This is from the New York Post. This is from the Times of London. And it's a pretty long article, so there's no way I'm going to spend all the time reading that. So I encourage you to go do your homework. Excuse me. But let's break it down. It says about a dozen Democrat Socialists of America activists have publicly pledged to support and defend China amid an apparent push by the communist nation to court members of New York City Mayor Mandami's party. Friends of Socialist China, a London-based group, touts 952 signatories on its pledge to support the People's Republic of China and to promote understanding of Chinese socialism. And then there's another link you can click right here, and this link will take you to the actual page where they are signing up people to be a part of the Friends of Socialist China. And here it is. Let me bring it in here so it fits. And then it's okay. What does it say? It says register as a supporter. Excuse me. We, the Friends of Socialist China, aim to support the People's Republic of China and to promote understanding of Chinese socialism, communism. There is no socialism in China. Why socialism? As Marxists, admittedly, as Marxists, that's who we are, we believe that although capitalism has brought about unprecedented progress in the development of the productive forces, its expansion throughout the world has directly led to the most appalling crimes against humanity. It has proven itself totally incapable of solving the problems of poverty and inequality. Meanwhile, and it's inextricably linked with war, empire, racism, misogyny, alienation, and environmental destruction. So basically, capitalism is causing all the world's problems. Let's just call it like we say it. All the world's problems are caused by capitalism. And this goes on in a long diatribe, and it says, why China? We support all states building or aspiring to socialism, i.e. communism, and we favor the highest level of unity and friendship between them. We foreground China in particular because its size and level of development give it an objectively critical role in the global transition to socialism, communism. China is the most prominent force pushing for the establishment of a multipolar system of international relations and a new international economic order. Meanwhile, it's emerging as the global leader in the struggle to avoid climate breakdown. Yeah, they just wrote that. Somebody just wrote that China is a leader in the continued survival for global climate change. That country that has no regard for anything regarding climate and pollution, that's who they're holding up as a shining star. In frickin' sane. So back here in this article, let me come back to here. Friends of Socialist China, a London-based group with their 952 signatories, support the Republic of China. 11 self-described DSA or DS International Committee members are among those resolved to support, defend, and build understanding of Chinese socialism. I was okay with all the words that they used until they said defend. They don't want to defend America. They specifically say we do not want to defend America. We want to defend China, which to me, and probably to you, spells traitor. I don't think we can look at it any other way. That is a traitorous declaration. When you want to defend arguably our biggest enemy in the world, you are telling me you're not with us. You are with them. And so what incidentally didn't happen when this story broke, there was no denunciation by Mandami, didn't come out and say, I'm not associated with this. None of the Democrats said, nope, we're not a part of this. They just let the story just go away, didn't want to talk about it. And you want people to tell me we're going to lose this election? Not hardly. Not hardly. I don't care what poll they put out. I don't care what panicking grifter asshat puts up on X. There's no way, like you heard that caller at the C-SPAN, that Democrat caller who said, I fought for this country. There is no way I am fighting for socialism. And you could tell the pain in his voice is like, man, I've watched some stuff happen. I've fought on other soil to protect our interest. And you got these idiots saying, America sucks, it's racist, it's misogynist, it's homophobic, all the phobes. It's anti-capitalist, anti-environment. So we're going to just align ourselves with China. Okay, then you've just openly declared you're my enemy. And that should be the first conversation, first mention any reporter now has when they get in front of Mandami. Are you in alignment with what the DSA has now and the leaders have aligned themselves with China? And you can't get away from it because we saw Hassan Piker go to one of the rallies dressed up like Mao Zedong and then say he was a great leader. Thank you. Thank you for putting on the uniform and making that statement. Thank you for going ahead and putting out this article. Thank you for having your sign-up page. We now know completely what you guys stand for. I will salute the DSA. I have to. Because unlike the Democrats, as wacky and effed up as the DSA is, they're willing to tell you what they are all about. It's kind of refreshing. It is kind of refreshing to me to see a political opponent, somebody who's willing to put on the Mao Zedong outfit and tell you, this is who we are, this is who we stand for, this is what we're all about. Stop us. Not like the Democrats. Which way's the wind blowing here? I'm not really sure. What's the latest poll say? They don't care about polls. They don't care about the media. These people are focused on an outcome, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to get to that outcome. Every single one of you at this point has to think that's refreshing. We can now put our opponent in a box, whether they like it or not. The Democrats have embraced this stuff, which means you're the enemy. Let's not even pull punches. This is what you want to have. You want to defend China? Go after yourself. Now it should be game on, which then also leads me to understand or question, what the hell are all these panicans talking about? What are all these people screaming about Trump? You have a declared enemy. You have somebody who says, I want to take your way of life away from you. Pretty sure Trump's not looking to take away your way of life. I'm pretty sure Bibi Netanyahu and the Jews aren't looking to take away your way of life. So what the hell are you people talking about? And the people who follow these people, what kind of brain-dead porpoises must you be to be listening to that when on the alternative, your real enemy is telling you, we're with China. We're going to wear a Mao Zedong outfit. We're going to say he was a great leader. We're going to try and tear America down as much as we possibly can. And I got idiots I got to deal with on my team who are just bitching up a storm, ignoring the real enemy. I bring this to your attention because you have to be in a position right now to be enough of an astute person to understand what exactly is going on. Why are people allowing the eyes, the focus to be taken away from the enemy? Why over here are we all trying to make noise and say stupid stuff instead of putting our eyeballs right there on the problem? So that every guy that calls into C-SPAN from Georgia or wherever goes, here's your enemy. Trump, you don't like him, you don't like Republicans, you don't like MAGA, but we're not trying to destroy everything you hold dear. There's nobody in MAGA or in that cabinet meeting today that has said in any way, shape, or form, we'd like to destroy your life. Is gas too expensive? For some people. Is food too expensive? For some people. Is housing too expensive? For some people. But did anybody anywhere say, we're going to tell you what you eat? We're going to tell you whether or not you can own a house. We're going to tell you how you can move about the country. They're saying that. Our people are complaining about minutia, and these people are like, we're coming to take over your country. Oh yeah, we're coming. We're going to do it. We're gaining momentum. We're seeding ourselves into your government. We're getting involved with judges. The judges are ruling for us. You guys keep talking about gas prices and affordability and blah, 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 and keep the eyeballs off of us. Good job over here, guys. Good job. Take all the lackeys you can and don't let them ever pay attention to what's really going on. Let's see. Let's show you something that happened just a little while ago. What time was this? 5:55. Talking about taking your eyes off of what's going on. Leftist judge Allison Burroughs just subverted the Supreme Court and reblocked President Trump from ending temporary protected status from the Somali newcomers. Impeach her now. She's in open defiance of the SCOTUS ruling that made clear judges cannot overrule Trump and DHS Secretary Mullen on TPS. The judicial coup must be stopped at all costs. That's her. She's ruling with these people. She's ruling with the enemy. I can challenge you right now, and I can tell you, go look at any of those people's profiles. Not a single one of them is talking about this. They're ignoring the enemy. What's really happening and what's really being done to this country, they don't want to talk about. It's got to at some point sink into people. These people are really against us. Yeah, something. They're not trying to rally the troops. They're not trying to say, hey, look what's going on. James Percival said it even better. I loved it. Here's Judge Allison Burroughs just entered yet another order preventing the termination of the TPS for the Somalis. There's no serious debate about what is going on in these cases. Defiance, obstruction, and delay. There's no debate. This is what's happening. They are subverting America. They have turned their back on America, and they are doing everything they possibly can to destroy America. You think gas prices are too high under Trump? What happens when you can't drive? You think food prices are too high under Trump? What happens when the government owns the stores? You think housing's too much? Wait until they tell you you can't live there. We have communists at the front door. I'm sorry, we have communists inside the house. And we've got judges working with them. We've got American politicians working with them, doing everything they can to destroy your way of life. And at the same time, we've got politicians here, and we have people supposedly on our side who are ignoring it completely. That's the real problem right now. Not that things are a little bit too high, not what the trolls come in, oh, but he didn't do what he promised. every time somebody says Trump didn't do what he promised, they're taking you away from looking at what's really the problem right now. As soon as you take your eye off the fact that these people want me dead, they want my way of life to go away. Hey, look over here. Oh, wow, gas prices are up 30 cents. Hold on. Well, we can fix that. We'll figure out that. We'll figure out food prices. We need to eradicate this and focus on this until it's no longer a threat. You know, it's sort of like worrying about the hurricane coming in off the coast, and at the same time thinking, you know, my shoes are too tight. I can't figure out what's wrong. Do I need to lose some weight? You know, you can take care of that later. Right now, you need to protect the house. These people mean business. I mean, completely mean business in terms of what they're doing. Listen to this.
People who fled socialist countries are speaking out about their firsthand experiences. Their message to Americans: don't fall for it. Alexandria Hoff is in Washington with the details. Alex.
Hey, yeah, all week we've explored the rise of young voters backing socialism as a powerful bloc, really, of the Democratic Party. It's being sold to them as a community, a moral purpose, a means to solve their own financial insecurities. And while they are desperate to be part of something they consider to be a revolution, the voices we hear from today knock down that idealism back to reality, that there is nothing revolutionary about a system that has been tried and failed its people so many times.
You know what's really interesting is you never see any prominent podcaster, griftcaster, they'll call them. You never see anybody from the CBS, NBC, MSNBC, CNN. You never see them go to talk to people who escaped socialism or communism. People who are willing to chew off their right arm to get away from it. You never see them talk about that. Why is it? They don't want Americans to know. They don't want you to understand what's in store for you.
None of these people has spent one day in socialism or communism. None of them. So they are selling you a story that they don't even understand. It truly steals away from you your future, your right to pursue happiness, and your possibilities of conquering prosperity.
You know that to be true. You 100% know that to be true. How do you know it? None of them are happy. They're completely miserable. They don't have any fun. They don't do anything but plot and connive. You won't see them at a football game. You won't see them at a hockey game. You don't see many of them in restaurants. They congregate in the dark and just plot what can they do next. It's complete misery loves company times 10. But then when you talk to people, and if you've never been lucky enough to talk to somebody who actually got away from it, man, they're like, wait a second, you guys can work? You can make money here? You can have 2 jobs? You can have 3 jobs? And then you can do whatever you want with your money? You're kidding me. I can go to a grocery store with all this stuff in it? I mean, literally, that's the kind of look they have on their face, like, oh my gosh, did I wake up in a dream? That's the feeling people get when they get out of communism. You never see anybody get interviewed on the other side of that, though, who went from prosperity into it, unless you talk to them, because they will not show you.
Yali Nunez fled Cuba with her family at 16 to escape the country's socialist regime. She is haunted by the memories of frequent blackouts, food shortages, and an education system that she says was used to politically indoctrinate students. We also hear today from attorney Marina Medvin, who left the USSR at 7 years old as the regime was collapsing there. She tells a familiar tale to many refugees from socialist countries. Listen.
When we came to the United States for the first time, I saw food on grocery store shelves, and it was overwhelming for us. It's a feeling.
All right, well, I got to stop there because we take it for granted. You know, you're sitting there watching the game, and the wife's like, I need you to go to the store and get something. I got to get up. I got to put the shoes on. I got to go. Oh, man, let me put pause on the game. I got to go to the grocery store and buy some stuff. We take it for granted. Oh, we got to go do Thanksgiving shopping. Let's go through the store. Oh, man, it's too crowded in here. Why do we have to? We take it for granted. What happens when you can't take it for granted? What happens when you look around and there's nothing on the shelves? There's nothing there because the government didn't do anything. The store went out of business like you saw in Kansas City and Chicago. They're trying it. You can't give a problem for lack of effort. They tried it. It couldn't make it work. All right, let's try it again in Kansas City. Can't make it work. All right, we didn't spend enough money. Let's try it again in New York. It won't work. It can't work. There's not enough for you to do. The margins are already too tight. You can't make it work. So the littlest of things that we take absolutely for granted, that you can get up and get in the car and go to the grocery store, and you're going to get in there. There's going to be a whole bunch of people there on a Saturday morning. You're like, oh boy, I can't believe I got to do this and check out myself, and the checkout machine ain't working, and the guy's over there just standing me, watching me where he could be bagging my bags. I'm sorry, that's my thinking. We take it for granted. You know why we take it for granted? Because we're Americans. Our country prospered. Our country got built. Our country tells us you don't have to worry about it. If you have a job, if you have a business, if you're making money, whatever you can afford to buy, whatever it is you can afford to buy, we will make it available to you. See, that's the problem that they're not talking about. It's unaffordable. No, there's every one of you who went to college, this will ring true. We used to have this thing when I was in the fraternity houses. How cheaply could we eat in a week? Because football season, we were taken care of. We had privileges at the cafeteria and everything. But then in a winter session, we stayed there at the fraternity house. It's like, all right, when do we get paid? Because I was a bouncer. We don't get paid till next Thursday. Okay, what are we going to do from now? Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the supermarket. We're going to buy some bologna. We're going to buy some Kraft macaroni and cheese. We're going to buy a couple loaves of bread, some peanut butter, and some jelly. And then we're going to get this thing called Spam. Not really sure what the hell it is, but it's really cheap. And then we're going to buy a whole bunch of ramen. And we're going to walk out of the store with a whole bunch of stuff, very affordable, for $50. No food stamps, just some old ingenuity going, okay, we can have ramen and hot dogs for dinner. We can probably get a chicken, and we can have that with the mac and cheese for a couple of nights. And on the off time, we got peanut butter and jelly. And then, then we got this stuff called Spam. Spam tastes really good when you don't know what it is. Spam tastes really good when you look at the can and it says, like, $1.50. There's a lot of meat in here for $1.50. Let me go ahead and slice some of this Spam. Oh, I can fry it up. It looks like some sort of meat, and we can eat. Affordability? We didn't have an affordability problem when I went to college. We knew we had to make things matter, make things match, meet up, have a feast. There would be times where we'd have 6 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Like, that was pretty good. I had like 6 sandwiches. We made it work. We didn't complain. What the hell's happened? We can go to a store and get whatever we want according to what we can afford. Did we want steak? Sure. We waited until we got paid and we got stuff like that. But in the interim, you get what you need. I think Mick did write the song about that. But anyway, I digress.
We really can't describe because it's like dying and going to heaven.
Marina says she now keeps photos of U.S. grocery stores in her office to remind her of the abundance that her family found once socialism was behind them.
She's got pictures of grocery stores. Like, oh my God. I think, what movie was it? Come on, y'all with me. Something with Eddie Murphy. Might have been his comedy routine. He said people would Mustafa would come over here from Africa, and he said 24/7. And he looked at me like, yeah, as long as you got some money or a gun, you're going to eat 24/7. We take it for granted. We take it for granted. Every one of you that was around a woman that was that time of month would get the elbow. Like, what? What do you want? I need some chocolate cupcakes and a banana and a jar of pickles. It's 2:00 in the morning. I didn't ask you that. Oh my gosh. Let me go get some pickles and let me get the cupcakes and whatever else. Because we could. Why aren't we guarding that? Why aren't we guarding what we're able to do instead of looking at these people telling us straight up, we're going to turn you into little communists. We're going to define what it is you can and can't do. Mao Zedong had the right idea. He was a fantastic leader. I'm pretty sure if you put Mao Zedong and President Trump in a room and said, which one do you think is better for your life? Even the people complaining would say, President Trump. So what the hell are they doing now? President Trump did speak. Let me just grab this real quick. He did speak about Spain today, and he also posted about it. He said, what's happening with Spain with tens of thousands of illegal immigrants invading it happened in the United States during the Sleepy Joe Biden administration. And it will happen again, only worse. If the Democrats ever again gain power, that's what we've been saying, don't let our country be destroyed. Vote Republican and be proud of the United States. Be proud of the United States. And he included the video of what was going on in Ceuta. As you can see, I don't want that coming across the water here in Florida. I don't want to see that ever again, what they did back during the Biden administration. I don't want to live through that. I don't want to know anything about that. I don't think you want to either. So stop fighting each other and come together and fight our actual enemy. Their enemy, my enemy. We all have the same enemy at this point, and it's not MAGA and it's not Donald Trump. Not whatsoever. One other thing I wanted to show you before we begin. This is insane. Want to talk about gaslighting? This is the epitome of gaslighting. This is when, you know, somebody's blowing smoke up your butt and expecting you to like it. This came from the Embassy of Spain. Almost everyone who entered Ceuta yesterday has now returned back to Morocco. Oh really? It is not possible to travel from Ceuta or Melilla to mainland Spain without presenting identification at a police checkpoint. The integrity of the Schengen area is fully guaranteed. Oh, really? So they all just went back. It was just an excursion. It was just, just a test. Do we look stupid? I mean, seriously, I know we're MAGA. I know they call us maggots. I know they call us, all kinds of names. But do we look that stupid that they all just went, all right, everybody, I got to go back now. Go ahead, swim back. That's what they're trying to pass off on us. This is a game. Our media is a game. Internationally, it has become a game. These people are absolutely bat poop crazy, but they expect you stupid Americans, to just bite into this stuff. Don't. Because they realize from the heat that they took yesterday from Sweden and Italy and Germany and Finland, they went, whoa, we didn't expect you guys all to do this. Yeah, we're not standing for this crap. And so they had to say something, and so they come out and said, yeah, everybody, they all went back. You got videos of that? Because we saw the videos of the hordes. You got the videos of the hordes going the other way? I saw one video where they had like a couple hundred people going through. Didn't look like 40 or 1,000 people were going back. Didn't see anybody rounding them up. So you're telling me these people just went back on their own accord. Man, if that's the truth, you guys got better customs than we do. The people just decided, you know what, we're wrong. We're sorry. We'll go home. You buying that?
Hola, hola, Senor Barry. ¿Cómo
You,
está, mi brother?
you buying that they all just went home?
I call BS on that.
BSO.
BSO. Olio.
I'm like, do we look dumb? I mean, we must look really dumb to these people to say something like that. But anyway,
Never stop gaslighting and lying. That's their job.
you know what? The thing that bothered me the most was that video of the girl who was just telling them to come in.
Oh,
I mean,
come on in, come on.
crazy.
Lots of room. Burning
Yeah.
cars, breaking into people's homes and stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to see some pictures of pink mist.
So you missed this morning. I had covered this story, but it's still worth talking about again. Kamala, she finally getting backlash.
Oh yeah, that was last night's story. That's
okay. $8 million mansion all around. All around the white people. She's not living amongst the black peoples. I wonder why. All right.
Well,
so
I mean, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that, like, Obama lives in a white neighborhood, and Biden lives in a highly white neighborhood. It's all propaganda. It's all lies.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
It's what they do. Yeah, I have a couple light stories. One is on Dr. Death to see how he's doing, but the first one is Brandon Gill, which pretty much sums it up. He dropped this nuke after Spain's invasion, and the entire West should listen. He goes, the centuries of hard work that it takes to build the unique character and vibrant culture of a nature can all be destroyed overnight by giving the left power. This was America's southern border and the last time the Democratic Party was in power. Electing Democrats equals inviting millions of savages to pillage our society. So true. So very true.
When you look at it, you think to yourself, isn't it so easy to understand that? I mean, do you really need to have do you really need to have people explain it to you? And it just drives me crazy because, I think I posted it. I'll save it because there's something that happened tonight and it just had me shaking my head going, you gotta be kidding me. What kind of
I know what you're talking about, because I think I responded that, half our country is truly retarded.
Yes,
and,
yes, you did.
The retarded commies. That's the term I use.
This is this is a good one. This is a good one.
Yes. So it's a 24-second clip. If you could download it real quick.
I'm just going to play because there's really no volume here, but so people can see it.
The reporter asked him, like, do you have anything to say? And he absolutely didn't say anything, and then ran into his apartment or his home. I'd like to know where that address is. I might pay a visit. I'm going to do a little reporting myself.
He can't wait to get back inside. Can't wait to get back inside. What's the thing they told us? We have to make it so that they cannot show their faces in public. And sure enough, he's standing there talking to a police officer. And as soon as he sees the reporter, he can't wait to hustle inside. Run!
Bingo! See
run!
Ya. Don't want to be ya. What a piece of shit. Sorry.
It's like I said, they always run their mouths when nobody's around, but then, I mean, when everybody's around, the cameras are on. But when you catch them by themselves, they take off. They're just completely.
Well, remember now, they said all these years, trust the science, but their biggest thing now is trust the amendment, the Fifth Amendment.
All right, so what do you got here?
This one is just a short story. It came out 10 minutes ago. Scott Besson posted this about Todd Blanche. He says, Todd has been a trusted partner in advancing President Trump's agenda and a proven leader at the Justice Department. His leadership has delivered real results, and America is a safer place because of his work. The Senate should not leave for recess without confirming him as Attorney General. So they're trying to.
I don't know how they're leaving for recess anyway. I think the number is now up to like 21 or 22 senators that are saying don't leave. So I thought I was, I'll have to ask Rock, or maybe you can ask Rock, but I thought it only took one senator to object to the recess, and that would cause them to stay. Obviously, the fact that people are still talking about it with 20 people now saying, don't go. Yeah. I don't know what the actual rule is on that. Be pretty interesting to find out. But absolutely crazy.
Well, that's all I have for the moment. It's kind of a little bit of a slow news night, but I'm
it's
sure
Friday night. But I'll tell you what. Tomorrow won't be, but I'll get into that in a little bit. All right.
All right. See you soon.
I'm not going to run the intro. I'm just going to take a quick break and we'll be back in 90 seconds.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
You know, I saw Spain yesterday, and I watched the catastrophe that took place. It looks like an invasion of a country by hundreds of thousands of people. And that same thing's going to happen to us if the Republicans don't get elected, except worse. Much bigger, much easier to get into, despite the fact that we have built thousands of miles of wall, which I said we were going to do, but we didn't have that, forget it. But we have the safest border in the world. If we're not in office, our country will be invaded at levels that made Spain look small time. And when I watched it, I said, boy, I'm going to say it because I knew you were going to be at Camp David, and I say, that's going to be a talking point for the midterms. Because when you look at what happened to Spain, they don't know what to do. And it's happening again today. They're coming in by the tens of thousands. They're just invading the country. And what that is weak law, bad management, but very liberal law. They passed a couple of laws, and people read. You know, people are smart. They read from other countries. And they swam that 3-mile swim, or however they got in, but nobody's seen anything like it. That will look good compared to what's going to happen to the United States. The biggest thing, the worst thing that Biden did is allowing 25 million people into our country, because many of those people are criminals. They're murderers. A lot of murder. 11,888. A lot of them are gone now. We got them out. But they allowed people to come into this country that you can't allow to come into a country. We're also making...
All right, so President Trump dropped a couple nuggets. By the way, if you didn't join us this morning, there was a cabinet meeting, a full cabinet meeting, but they held it at Camp David for some reason, which I think I know why. But they held a cabinet meeting and they went through a litany of different subjects. I got some sound bites I want to show you and then talk about. That one specifically was the first one I wanted to show you because he's letting everybody know that what they saw in Spain is a good, number one, a good reminder in case people had forgotten what happened in the Biden administration. Because, you know, the media doesn't like to talk about it anymore. Now it made front page news some places where people could see these videos. We're on X, we're on Twitter, we're not kicked off. This time, everybody who wanted to could consume these videos. We couldn't do that before. This morning yesterday I showed, if we had shown those videos 4 or 5 years ago, blip, things would go dark and you'd be kicked off. So we have the opportunity to let everybody know, and like he said, oh, there's a talking point. There's a talking point for you. You guys see this? It's going to happen here in spades, exponentially worse. Oh, that could never happen. Oh, you may not have seen this from a couple years ago. And show them the exact same thing coming across the border in Texas. They didn't, too many people never saw it. And then he dropped you the nugget. The nugget I think that's so important was that they knew which laws to exploit. They knew that there were laws that would allow them to do what they did without having to invoke the military to defend the border. If you come this way, nobody's going to bother you. If you go this way, we might have to arrest you. He said it's because of weak government and weak management, i.e. weak leaders. So our people have to see this. We need to see this is what they have in mind for us. That may, for all we know, have been a dry run. That's what they want to do. Anybody not sure that if that's what they want? Again, if you don't realize that's what they want, you haven't been listening. One of the core issues of the socialist communists is A, abolish ICE and open the borders. So if they want to abolish ICE, and that's their war cry right now, and they want to open the borders, then that's our future. You literally had a glimpse at the future if the Democrats ever win. Also, at the end of this, he had a little press conference. And I knew it was going to happen. I would have bet money on it. Not one single question. Nobody, not a single member of the press, right or left, nobody asked anything about the invasion in Spain. They don't want you talking about it, which means you should be amplifying it. You should make sure it doesn't go away. You should make sure as many people as possible know, because you may be taking for granted that people saw it. There were people I spoke to, hey, you see what's going on in Spain? No, I didn't see anything about it. That's right. You watch CNN and some of these other networks. You didn't see anything, huh? Nope. Here, let me give you this link on X. Oh my gosh, what is that? You know that already happened here. What do you mean it happened here? Oh, let me show you here in Texas. Right now, we have to be the education department of the government and show people that's what happened in Spain, and it already happened here in a much bigger way. Ask your friends. Just say, what do you think about what's going on in Spain? And see what the reaction is. What's going on in Spain? I didn't hear nothing. I didn't get none of that. Crazy.
This has been an amazing team, from Kelly Loeffler at SBA, to Doug at the VA, to Todd and Bobby Kennedy. This really has required a whole of administration approach to try to tackle fraud. There are a few things that I want to talk about and celebrate. The first is that just since the beginning of the fraud task force that I started under the president's leadership and direction, we have identified $230 billion of fraud that's being perpetrated against the American people, and we have halted already $56 billion of that. It's sometimes hard.
Okay, so he talked about that this morning. He went really quick. They found $230 billion. They've been able to put the brakes on $56 billion of it. And they're finding all of this fraud constantly, over and over and over. Again, not something the Democrats in the media ever want to talk about. I saw more stories about Savannah Guthrie's mother today than I did about fraud. Why are we not talking about fraud every single day? Why am I hearing about Savannah Guthrie's mom? God bless her. I know that must be a trauma that nobody ever wants to go through, but it's not a national story. And I'm hearing about the new ransom note, and I'm hearing about, like, wait, do you understand what they just said this morning? Did you understand that they said they found $230 billion of fraud? No, don't want to hear, don't talk about it. No, let's talk about Savannah Guthrie's mom. God bless her.
Once the money has already gone out the door, it's hard to get it back, but stopping it from going out the door is how we save the American people. $56 billion, and of course, we're going to keep on working on that. Just today, Mr. President, we will announce 17 new anti-fraud actions that will total about $1/3 of $1 billion, and that's added to the $230 billion.
Okay, as he was talking pretty fast, Ashley tells me, you got to clip this stuff because people, they might look away. They may not hear it. So in addition to the 230 billion, in addition to the 56 billion, as your eyes gloss off with all over this number, he's like, we found another 300 million that we're about to stop. And the numbers just keep adding up. And then you get the people who say nothing's happening. There's only so much you look away from. There's only so many incidences that people can say, oh, that doesn't matter. What do you mean doesn't matter? You're telling me 230 plus whatever he just talked about, and it just keeps going. The meter is still running. And you're telling me it doesn't matter. Nothing's happening. It's happening right in front of your face. You may not realize what's happening, but number one, you're getting disclosure. Number two, you fully well see that the government is fighting against the government. The civil war is definitely on. You got judges, like I showed you, judges that are fighting against other judges. You got lower court judges trying to fight back against Supreme Court rulings. How the hell are you not paying attention to that? How does that not make you go, wait a second, how could she make a ruling when the Supreme Court, who's way above her, already told her she can't, and yet you got the Trump administration trying to get things done, and these if you can't see that from the sidelines and say, wow, man, there is so much happening. We are most assuredly in a civil war. Don't let anybody talk you against that, because this wouldn't be happening if things were in a normal situation.
Dollars that we've already uncovered. And I want to just talk for the benefit of the American people about why do we care so much about this? Because what I always try to remind people is that fraud has two victims. So to give one concrete example, there is a program that is administered by Medicaid, and that program ensures that low-income moms and low-income babies have access to neonatal care. Now, I think most Americans probably share my view that this is one of the great things about the United States of America, that if we see a baby and we see a young mother that requires help, we help our fellow Americans. That's a good thing. It's something that we should be proud of. And yet, there is a program that has defrauded the moms and the babies who benefit from these. You've gotten people who've gotten rich by setting up false companies that are providing false services. So who loses in that equation? Number one, of course, is the American taxpayer that is $230 billion poorer because of the fraud that this country has let go on. But I actually think most importantly is that we've seen that program run out of money. So we've seen moms and babies unable to access the health care that they need because the fraudsters have gotten rich.
So I'd like you tonight, tomorrow, next day, whenever, go ahead and pull a news story where anybody in any of the liberal networks has talked about fraud. It's like taboo. We can't even bring up the fact that people are stealing gazillions of dollars. Nope, can't even do it. And if they do bring it up, they talk about how people in other countries are dying. I'm like, wait a second, you're stealing from us and you're worried about other countries. That's the only thing that they seem to talk about. Well, we cut off USAID, and so all the money that we were giving away to other people instead of Americans, they're dying. And it's your fault, maggots.
That is a disgrace. And until the president ordered us to stop it, no one was doing anything about it. So we've made a lot of progress, Mr. President, in just under a year. But we're going to keep on working at it because we believe the American people deserve to have their money spent as you and the Congress have the right to.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. We're getting stolen from, and we're fighting an uphill battle because nobody wants to stop the spigot from being turned off. There are too many people with their hand out, not just the poll peoples. There are way too many people, probably a lot on the right as well, who are grabbing this cash out of your pocket, which incidentally is nothing compared to what the communists will do. Take that number, that 230 billion, you could multiply that. Imagine there being, government grocery stores basically in every city in the country. There's no more Publix. No more, I don't know what it is in your area. No more Winn-Dixies. No more Piggly Wigglies. You just got to go to the government store and hopefully they got your stuff. And they're going to spend $30 million on it, completely devoid of any business sense. You think the fraud is bad now? The fraud is that you know of, that we've heard in the last year and a half. The fraud that Doge found that was never supposed to be uncovered would just be a fraction of what these people would do. But nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, I just want to mention that we heard in Minnesota there was a cyber attack, and they blame it on Iran. I don't think so. I blame it on Minnesota because they're grossly incompetent. There was a
All right, so this is important. There was a cyber attack of some sort in Minnesota in their water systems. And right away, the Minnesota government decides that they're going to say it was Iran. That they're reacting to what President Trump is doing, and Iran attacked us. Why the hell would you attack Minnesota? But in any event, with all of the people doing cybersecurity in the U.S. government, you don't think that they can trace and understand where something came from? And so President Trump's reacting to that and going, shut up. We know, pretty much almost saying with a smile, we know what you did already, which should really scare them, which means he's already watching what you do. He's already tracing IPs. They must have a surveillance network right now on these blue states that would make us just, whoa. I mean, he's actually talking, I mean, he's laughing off what amounted to a terrorist attack. I don't think it was them.
attack of 30 water plants, and I would blame it on Minnesota and the governor, the corrupt governor of Minnesota. They like to say, oh, it was Iran. Iran should be so lucky. Iran's got bigger problems than worrying about Minnesota.
Secretary of War to his left, the Secretary of State to his right, the two guys that he would turn to say, hey, who's messing around with Minnesota? It's them, boss. Oh, okay. You sure it's not Iran? No, it did come from Iran. Those two guys sitting right next to him, and probably John Ratcliffe right down a couple chairs from him, all probably talked about it this morning. All right, we need to get to the bottom of this. And during the morning, during his presidential daily briefing, he got the PDB. He goes, what's this about a terrorist cyber attack in Minnesota? It's them. Oh, okay. I mean, you see, he just shrugged it off. It wasn't Iran. We already know it's not Iran. We're already watching you, Timmy. We're watching everything you do. You're probably going to get picked up and put in jail for trying to, do a fake cyber attack. What were you trying to hide? Right now, that entire interaction would have made me go, ooh. I would have had some severe sphincter tightening after I heard him say that.
The International Criminal Court is an illegitimate international organization that, frankly, illegitimate. They make themselves illegitimate because they claim that even if you're not a member of that court, they can come after you. And what that literally means in the future is that American servicemen, political leaders, and others could find themselves under indictment by this International Criminal Court.
Now, I found this fascinating, that in the middle of the cabinet meeting, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, addresses this ICC crap that Mondami's been talking about, and letting everybody in the room, including the media, know our stance on this is that this is a kangaroo court. We want nothing to do with what they're doing. And in fact, we're going to let them know. And in fact, we're going to try and change the International Criminal Court. Kangaroo guys, the grand poobahs, get them out of there. And this is interesting because it gets real interesting when President Trump speaks.
If you want to know a little bit about it, Jack Smith used to work there. These are the people that think they can go out and basically indict any world leader and haul them into The Hague. So we tried to get them to reform and listen to us. They wouldn't do it. They're very arrogant. We've now begun an effort to really try to bring that court to heel.
Wait a minute. Okay. We tried to, that was almost like a mafia term there. We tried to reason with them. We made them an offer they couldn't refuse. Now we got to take some action. That's just what he just said. We tried to reason with them. Now we got to bring them to heel. Ooh, what does that mean? How do you bring an international organization to heel? Not my words. He just said that. We tried it. We tried the easy way. Y'all effed up. Don't want to play. Now we're going to bring you to heel. That is a very strong admonition. And if I heard that coming from the Secretary of State of the United States of America, it would make me squirm a little bit. What do you mean going to bring us to heel? Maybe we're going to Maduro you guys. Make you guys the international criminals. Yank you out of your bed at night and bring her over here. I don't know what bring them to heel is, but I can't wait for that movie.
No information that they're after me. It could happen.
Now, I want you to watch Marco Rubio here. And you can probably watch Pete Hegseth. President Trump interrupts Marco Rubio, and he interrupts him to say, but they're not looking at me. Don't worry about it. Marco Rubio doesn't seem to have that same confidence. As other people in the room are laughing, Marco Rubio kind of gives it a smirk, but he doesn't like chime in and go, yeah, they're not after him.
So you know, just keep talking about it. I'm saying that means that maybe he's not trying to defend me. He is trying to defend Bibi and various other people. But there are many people that shouldn't be looked at that way.
You see the faces? You know, those of you who might be into body language and reading things, Marco looked down. And as you're looking right now, he's still looking down while President Trump is talking. Pete Hegseth, he's looking down. Read that picture right there. One guy in the middle is kind of joking with everybody, trying to, make light of the situation. Luca Brasi on the right and Luca Brasi on the left don't look too happy about this. Don't look like, just give us the word. We need to bring these people to heel. Why would you need to bring them to heel if they weren't looking at President Trump? Why would you need to bring them to heel if they were just doing some crazy stuff internationally? Why did you have to go to them and say, you need to change your ways or else? Why would all that even happen if they weren't trying to do something to President Trump? And the two guys sitting next to him, just look at the stature and look at the faces. If I was sitting in a room and those two guys were sitting in front of me, and the guy in the middle was kind of giggling, I'd look at the two of them and go, whoa, I need to get out of here. I seriously need to get out of here.
There is no indication that I'm one of them at this moment.
Well, was Marco's first words. Well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let you listen.
I think the people who are in biggest danger in our system are servicemen, people in uniform. They'll try to go after the rest.
Did you see Pete's face? Hold on, let me freeze that. I gotta go back a second because Pete's face said everything right at that point. Pete looked at him and went, I don't know, boss. We kind of look like maybe. Wait a minute. Let me rewind it so I can catch it right where Pete looked away at him. Okay, wait a second here. Let me just go. It's coming here. Okay, hold on. Let me do it.
I'm one of them at this moment.
Right there. Quick look, smile, look down. Quick, look down real quick. I can't give this away. Pete, you're playing bad poker right now. Even SB would say that's real bad poker. Really bad poker.
And I actually think the people who are in biggest danger in our system are servicemen, people in uniform. They'll try to go out for the rest of their lives. Will not be able to travel anywhere in the world with their families because they could be arrested on one of these. Imagine, you're a soldier, you fought in a war, and 20 years later they try to come grab you. So this is a big problem. So we've had dozens of countries already join us in this effort. Since we started 2 weeks ago, 5 countries have already quit the ICC and notified them that they're leaving, and we think there'll be more.
Yeah. I love that. Absolutely love that. Let me take a break and ask SB, would you have played poker? Would you have played poker with Pete? With that with that look?
I would have taken all his money in his pockets. Absolutely. Wait a minute.
He was definitely giving tells like crazy, like, oh man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So then, and then he said they've got 5 other countries who are now pulling out. So you got to wonder what kind of arm twisting they had to do to get these other countries to pull out. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Did you got anything yet?
Yeah, I got a couple of stories. Couple from Eric Doherty and then OSIT Defender about what Trump is thinking about doing. So a varied mix. 2, I think, about the elections around the country.
Let's hold the OSIT because I have a segment for that.
Okay.
And hold the Eric Doherty thing because I got a segment for that. So
hey Barry, I think we wear the same helmet, man. We know great minds think alike, man.
All right.
No worries.
Let's go with this one. What's this all about?
Okay, that would be the middle story. So Trump endorsed Mike Rogers in Michigan. He just surged +5 points in a poll that previously had him behind Abdul El-Sayed in the Michigan race. Now I know I'm the same way. Polls, dishonest pollster. I don't believe most polls, but hopefully this is a legit poll. But they have Rogers at 45% and El-Sayed at 45%. Last time he was down by 5. But I see it says Mitchell Research. Is that
not him? Is that him?
I don't know. I don't know because I think he has a new name for himself. So I'm hoping it's not him. But I had to bring it up. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Polls.
I mean, it's funny when you look at this post as you're looking at it, it absolutely means nothing to the American people. It is a poll with a couple numbers into it, and we don't know anything about it. And this is what gets pushed off as news. And for the life of me, I cannot believe that 45, half the people in a state would be like, yeah, give me the commie. No, not all those people live who work in the auto works and everything else. No way. Absolutely no way.
Who would want that? For me, though, I'm like seeing this stuff since I don't know what's going on in every different state. I do more research. I take and go, is that true? And I start looking at because I didn't know much about either one of them.
Right.
So, for me, I do a lot more due diligence and learn. That's what I do. But you're right. Who the hell's going to want to vote in, Ali snack bar? I wouldn't.
And I also, it's weird when President Trump does his rallies in a certain area, he brings out local politicians to help support. So if he's in Michigan, he'll bring out Michigan people. This guy, what's his name, Ali Infree, when he did his rallies, he brought out AOC. I'm like, what? Why are you bringing out somebody from New York? You're from Michigan. I don't care what she has to say. What are you going to do for us here? And so you're borrowing the cachet of Bernie. You're borrowing the cachet of AOC instead of surrounding yourself with Michiganders so that they can see, so-and-so likes you. And even Gretchen Whitmer, she's endorsed the other one, the younger white lady. So I don't know how this guy can even be 45 because when you look at this post, what's the numbers with what's her name, Haley Stevens? Well, because there's 3 of them at this point. There is no head-to-head. He hasn't won the nomination. So why would you be posting a poll against El-Sayed when he hasn't even beat Haley Stevens yet?
Yeah,
that's a point I'd like to make.
Again, for me, it just lets me do more research. I like to see what's going on in different states. Like Vivek, I'm hearing. What do you think about how he's doing?
Who?
In Ohio, Vivek.
Oh, Vivek. And again, I watched people trash him today. I mean, I don't follow the races in other states because they don't really pertain to me. I'm looking at what Byron Donalds is doing down here. I know a lot of people don't like him. He was endorsed by Trump. Why did Trump endorse him? It's all kinds of, but I don't pay attention to a governor's race in Ohio. I look more towards the Senate race and things of that nature, but Vivek, the people judging Vivek aren't people who are going to be in that state. And that's the problem I have. The same thing with a lot of people with Mike Lindell. I don't live in Minnesota. So if he's acting crazy and he's going to lose, then he's the wrong guy for the job. But I don't have any say. I don't vote in Minnesota. So, all right, let's continue.
All right.
All right.
See you.
Why do you leave office, assuming that's in 2028? 95% of the drugs that are available to Americans, they will be paying the lowest prices.
President, you said they do have some capabilities left. Should Americans be prepared for these back and forth attacks to continue until Iran simply isn't able of striking back?
They'll get weaker. They'll get a little stronger, maybe not, but they'll get weaker, and then they peter out. Yeah, sure, I think so. I think it would be foolish to say no. You know, you always have to keep your guard.
What is the status of talks? Who from the administration is talking to the Iranians?
They break their word so often. Steve is talking. Jared, we have very good people. JD's involved, very strongly involved. We have great people talking. Marco's involved.
Because they say talks aren't happening.
They're good people. We're the best people. But they'll make a deal. As an example, we'll talk about nuclear. And we'll be in there talking about nuclear for 7 hours. I say, why do you need 7? You can take 10 minutes. You have 5 minutes. You should solve it. But 7 hours, and then they'll go out, and I'll say, they discussed nuclear. And they'll go out and they'll say, we never discussed nuclear. And I say, why did they say that? All they do is make me angry. You know, they just make me angry.
Can you rule out that Iran is behind the water attacks? Can you rule out that Iran is behind that cyber attack?
You don't think so?
Have you talked to
Minnesota is behind it. You know who's behind it? Minnesota, because they're grossly incompetent. I think the governor's behind it. I don't think there was an Iranian cyber attack. I think that Minnesota ought to get its act together. It's one of the worst run states. JD will tell you. He found tremendous corruption in Minnesota. Yes, sir. And by the way, just gave me a report. Massive future things having to do with corruption in Minnesota are happening right now.
Massive new things are happening in Minnesota right now. On the day that Tim Walz tried to say that Iran did a cyber attack on their water system, the president goes, I just got briefed from J.D. Vance, and we got massive information coming against Minnesota. These people are so screwed, they don't even know what to do. Now, understand one thing he was saying there, which is very interesting. Again, the question I would have asked, I don't know, maybe I'm too much of a smartass, but when they were talking about talks with Iran, he said Steve Witkoff, he said J.D. Vance, he said Marco Rubio, yet all those people were sitting around the table. They weren't over there in Iran. And they're in Camp David. So what do we make from that? Let's talk about that in a second.
Have you talked to Senator Fetterman about Lear?
The second thing is we had an unprecedented ministerial. 60 countries came to Washington and were a part of an effort where we were shedding light.
All right, so I want to go back because I thought the next cut was about this. Let's talk about Iran. I don't know if there's a leaker, or I don't know if it's something that they wanted to get out, being that all the discussion makers were at the table. Marco, Witkoff, J.D. Vance, they're all there. So a little while ago, before the show started, it looks like at 5 p.m., this broke. Breaking via CBS News, U.S. and Israel are planning what would be one of the harshest bombing campaigns to date against energy infrastructure targets in Iran, with strikes possible throughout the weekend. There was some discussion about trying to conclude by the time financial markets open again on Monday. Hint, hint. Because of concern about how the bombings will affect the U.S. and global economy, but an endpoint wasn't locked in. All right, let me stop there. What could be bombed, destroyed, that will affect the global economy when the markets open on Monday? Think, really think. That probably would be Carg Island, something to do with the oil, something that would cause a massive impact in what the ships are going through the strait that could cause oil to spike. And they're trying to do this before, if this is what's true, before that happens. The president has yet to give the final go orders. The military strike plan came up during President Trump's cabinet meeting at Camp David. Very interesting. Not during the televised part. There must have been something afterwards that somebody brought it up, and then somebody in that room told CBS News. There were high-level U.S. discussions Friday about cutting the electricity across Tehran, but no decision has been made as of Friday afternoon. So that could be a leak on purpose, letting Tehran know we're talking about taking out your oil and we're talking about taking out your electricity. Both of those would render the entire country pretty much done. And it caught fire. A number of people started talking about this. This one was at 5:42. President Trump has now, the other one said he hasn't made a decision. This one says it's now ordered. President Trump has ordered a fresh attack on Iran aimed at getting Iran to surrender. This one's per the Wall Street Journal. Details include the attack could begin as soon as this weekend and would last a few days. President Trump has reportedly been saying the Iranians are crazy for weeks behind closed doors. CBS News reports attacks on Iranian energy assets could begin as soon as this weekend. The Iran war is now entering its 6th month. You know, I think every one of you guys knows that at any time he wanted to end this, he could end it. He's in a situation where he holds all the cards, not Iran. If he wants to bomb Iran into complete submission and make them wave the white flag, he most assuredly can. Can America stomach it? Can America wake up on Sunday and see dead kids, dead women? But the war is over. That's the tightrope he's been balancing at this point, because most assuredly, everybody on the left would be a war criminal. And look what he's done. And he blew up and killed babies and dogs and puppies and women. You wanted him to end it, didn't you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. And then this one I saw. This was at 5:20. United States and Israel are planning to bombard energy-related targets in Iran. This was a story that got posted by CBS News. The United States and Israel are planning what would be one of the harshest bombing campaigns to date against energy infrastructure targets in Iran. Multiple sources have told CBS. There was some discussion about waiting or getting it done before the markets open on Monday because concern about how the bombings will affect the U.S. and global economy. Well, hearing that, if I were you, I would go fill up on gas this weekend. If you're being foretold that this is a possibility, you might want to get some gas. It may spike right away. SV had a story here, and let me go ahead and steal it from him and show it to you. This one came out. What time did this come out? This came out at 7:54, so it's the most recent one. Thanks, SV. It says multiple major news outlets are reporting that Donald Trump is actively weighing a major escalation alongside Israel that could target Iranian energy and other critical infrastructure if diplomacy fails. CBS News, as you've seen, reports that U.S. and Israel are preparing options to strike Iran's energy sector as soon as this weekend, though officials stress no final decision has been made, although the previous post said it has. Axios similarly reports the administration is seriously considering strikes on Iranian energy infrastructure as a part of a broader effort to increase pressure on Tehran following the collapse of recent ceasefire talks. The reporting makes a notable shift from earlier operations that primarily focused on military targets. Infrastructure attacks would represent a significant escalation with potentially broader economic consequences for Iran and global energy markets. Who thinks that this is real and who thinks that this is a warning? Would President Trump or anybody in that cabinet meeting leak this kind of information to the public, knowing full well what the reaction is going to be? Go back to the movie Goodfellas. If it was Goodfellas, I'd have never seen it coming. I don't want to telegraph to Iran, hey, we might blow you up this weekend. So I'm very precarious in terms of seeing if this thing is real, because this is the kind of thing immediate reaction. This is the immediate reaction we will see over the weekend. Trump's made his decision, and it's the stupid one. Many people will die. Why the hell would you post that, Mario? You have no idea what is going to happen. You have no idea what's been decided. You have no idea what, if anything, is going to be bombed this weekend. And you already, at 5:49 p.m. on Friday, say it's the wrong decision and many people will die. What is the purpose of a post like that? It's to get people ready for what the anti-Trump media is going to say. Count on it. Anything happens between now and Sunday morning, it's going to be Trump bombed babies, he killed women, and yada, 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 over and over and over. He's a war criminal. He destroyed water sources and infrastructure, and it would be constant. Even if it ends that regime, which is probably what they're really afraid of. They're not afraid of some bodies. They're not afraid of some people dying. They're afraid of us taking over the Iranian oil. At least be adults and say the truth.
On far left terrorism and violence. You know, the bomb goes off somewhere and it's tied to some right-wing group, or what I don't consider neo-Nazis right-wing, I consider them Nazis, right? But you're going to get a lot of attention on that. But if it's a leftist group, an Antifa group, that gets no coverage, or they ignore the ideological spin and the ideological reason behind it. So we got 60 countries came up here and hopefully creating a strong to go after far left violent terrorism. And go after it, call it by name, and I think we're building a very strong coalition there. We've had some successes in the Middle East, Mr. President, as you know, in the diplomatic front. The deal with Lebanon and Israel is unprecedented. President Ayoun was here a week ago.
All right, so we're back. All right, we're back. Let's continue.
For the first time in 15, 20 years, the overwhelming majority of the countries in the Western Hemisphere are now led by pro-American leaders and pro-American governments. It's an extraordinary achievement, all of it happening through virtually every election that's happened in the world. You were elected president, has elected someone who is American. And I think this is an incredible situation. And last but not least, and I have to thank a number of agencies here, particularly the Department of War, after that terrible earthquake in Venezuela, within 36 hours, the full force of the American government was on the ground providing humanitarian assistance. It was a sight to behold. The USS Ford, I think, was in their port. Our Marines and armed service personnel were helping run their airport and their tower. It is one of the fastest, most dramatic, and most effective humanitarian responses, certainly in recent history, if not ever. And they came at the direction of the president. In fact, within an hour of that earthquake hitting, I remember because I was overseas, the president called and said, make sure we go in there and help these people recover from this. And we did. And thanks to your leadership, Mr. President. It's a great story. Enough needs to be told about it because the credit goes to so many agencies represented here today, but really the Department of War's effort was phenomenal. So thank you.
All right, I'm waiting to see. I'm just checking to see if the connection has come back up. It looks like we are live. Yes. Okay, so we are live. I was just checking the connection. It went down for a second, so I was just checking the connection. It looks like we are back up. All right, let's go to the next section.
Well, I think we just want to win. You know, we just want to win. We're doing very well. We're trying to be nice as you can be in a situation like that. But you know, they're being decimated. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft. It doesn't mean they don't have any capability. They have some, but very little. We just want to win. We don't want to have them. It's very simple. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon, and they can't have a nuclear weapon. If they did, the Middle East would have been wiped out by now. If I didn't stop the JCPOA, the Obama deal, if I didn't stop that, they would have had a nuclear weapon. I believe Israel would no longer be with us in big parts of the Middle East and perhaps other countries. These people are crazy. So they cannot have a nuclear weapon, and they won't.
Mr. President,
Over the next 4 weeks, 8 weeks, you know, we'll be hitting them. We'll be hitting them very hard. And at some point, they're going to say, we just can't take it anymore.
That was the final line I wanted you to hear. I don't know if you heard it this morning, but we're going to hit them so hard, they're basically going to cry uncle. They're going to wave the white flag. We're going to hit them so hard, they can't take it anymore. So more than likely, something is going to happen this weekend. There is a reason, obviously, why he had everybody meet him at Camp David and not the Oval Office or anywhere else in the White House. But it looks like, indeed, something will be happening. So I don't know what happened with the connection there for a little bit. It decided to take a blink. Everything seems to be working fine right now. So I'm going to keep going because I got some stuff to get through. And I don't want everything to go down. All right, let's move.
It's time for a fanfare news update.
Exaggerate the scale of Europe's problem, and that
I think people are asleep at the switch and do not realize the magnitude of the issue.
I also think that your interventions, however well-intentioned they may be, risk making Europe's problem a lot worse.
How?
All right, so this was the interview that Elon Musk did with, I forget the lady's name, but it was interesting that he was foretelling what was about to happen. This interview happened last week. I believe it was The Economist is who she was working with. And she was all freaking out because of what Elon Musk had done. She calls him a fascist. And he's like, Europe's going to be in big, big trouble really soon. And sure enough, we see what happened in Spain.
Because you are putting your support behind people who are proto-authoritarians, who are not trying simply to, make sure there is better integration of Muslims or to secure the borders, but who have very clear fascist tendencies.
Okay, so she's accusing him of aligning with President Trump, who has fascist tendencies, without even defining what a fascist tendency is. Securing the border is fascist. Deporting people is fascist. Well, now she just woke up, whatever country she's in, and she now realized if you heard what I played today, that Germany now said, we're done. No more. Sweden, no more. Italy, no more. So all of a sudden it was just Trump who was fascist, and now you got a whole bunch of fascists over in Europe.
You will cause huge divisions within Europe.
I think what you're saying is total fiction. And really, I'm simply saying that that Europe has to have secure borders.
Okay, on that we agree.
And should not let in vast numbers of people with views that are antithetical to the accepted views in Europe, and where there will not be some level of safe cultural integration. This is simply common sense.
If all you are saying is Europe should have secure borders, I completely agree with you.
Well, then what's the problem? How can you be a fascist for defending what you just said you agree with? See, she's lying because what she thinks is if you defend the borders, that's fine. But if somehow somebody crawls through, you kicking them out, that's the fascist part. Then what the hell is it worth having a border if you can't take the people out who aren't supposed to be here? And notice they're probably not in her house. They're not in her building. If what she just said is true, what she's saying is it's okay if you have a border. You just can't get rid of people.
Then I have misunderstood what your interventions have been on social media, because that is not what the view I have, not what I would conclude having seen what the people you are supporting and the things you're doing. But if that's your goal, I share your goal that Europe should have secure borders.
Yes.
I think that's perfectly agreeable.
But she doesn't. He had her turn because that whole interview, he completely cooked her. I showed the whole interview to you guys last week sometimes, but she had nowhere to go. And all you now can do is interpolate what she really means is the laws that you have on the books to keep people out. But if they happen to get in, you can't get rid of them.
God, because he was an integral part of the Republicans winning in 2024. And the party needs him, and he's going to be better off, I think, with Republicans than Democrats for the rest of his life. But, it's interesting. When I interviewed Elon for the book that I wrote about President Trump's first 100 days in office, I could tell then, and this was last year, that he was kind of bent out of shape with both parties in Washington. He didn't think there were enough people in Washington who shared his concerns about the national debt, the immigration crisis, the looming what he thinks is maybe a bankruptcy crisis for the United States of America when you consider $40 trillion in debt. So I can understand why, if you're disappointed with everybody, you wouldn't want to spend much money on politics. But for right now, given the stakes of this election and given the fact that Western civilization is on the ballot, and I know how much he cares about that.
See how they laugh? See how the smirk comes out? Western civilization is on the ballot. After what we just saw happen in Spain, you laughed when he mentioned Western civilization is on the ballot. Well, it's a Freudian type of laugh. She's actually terrified. As a Democrat, none of the stuff that she holds up works anymore. And you're going after Elon, who's a near trillionaire, depending on the day. But you don't say anything about Soros. You don't say anything about Reid Hoffman. You don't say anything about Neville Singham. None of those people. Their money is good. Pritzker is a billionaire. His money is good. Elon, not so good. Why? Because he gives it to the other people. Elon, for some reason, terrifies them. And I don't think it's money. I think it's the guy he is. You see, Pritzker is a hobbit. He's a troll. I don't care. All you got is money. Nobody cares about you. They don't like you. Neville Singham, you're some hidden cloak and dagger guy over in China just doling out money. Nobody cares. Nobody likes you. Reid Hoffman is Jabba the Hutt. Nobody cares. Nobody likes you. Your platform, LinkedIn, sucks. Go back in and just write checks. Soros? Well, of course, nobody likes him. Nobody wants to be around him. Nobody endears him. See, that's the problem they're having with Elon Musk. He is likable. People like the fact that he's basically Rocket Man, that he's sending rockets and doing all this kind of thing and putting up Starlink. And then he also has money, which he visibly shares. When's the last time, I don't know, Reid Hoffman wrote a check on stage? When's the last time George Soros wrote a check on stage? When's the last time he had a company and made 4,000 millionaires instantly? He's likable, even though they try to say he's unlikable. They say that because they're trying, again, to dissuade people from being in the Elon camp. So it's not just his money, it's what he brings to the table. And he does it in a big way. Those different rallies that he had on his own, where he would pick people.
Every night of the week, seems God ain't close as he used to be. And there's more tequila in this old town than pines in Tennessee. I ain't the man I thought I'd be. Ain't happy ever after all. I'm just saying it wouldn't be.
All right, guys, I don't know if there's a gremlin in the machine or not, but I think I'm going to have to. Yeah, I know it's back up again. I'm going to cut it here. Let me jump to Super Chat so I can find out what exactly the problem is for tomorrow, because I have to use this studio on the weekend. So I'm going to cut it short. Sorry about that. Got a whole bunch more to show you, but for some reason, the internet connection is going up and down. So let me do, because I don't want to shut down without acknowledging people with Super Chats before it goes down again. Not really sure what the heck is going on here at this point. I'd love to keep trying. Put it this way. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue with this story. See if everything works okay. And if it goes down again, I'll just start over again. Nope. It's up still. All right. Everything seems to be working. I don't know why it keeps going down. All right. Let me finish with the Super Chats just in case. All right. Don't know why this thing is acting the way it is tonight. I don't know if it's internet connection or whatever it is. All right. Because I don't want to leave without talking to people here. Fazul, may the horror in Spain work in our favor. Yeah, I hope so. Lady Trucker, good evening, Barry Fanfare. I just want to say thank you for all you do in keeping the public informed on a daily basis of all the BS, the communism going on. Deport Mandami. I'm all for that. Alec, these are not traitors. They are planted enemy combatants and should be treated as such. Military is the only way. Alec, bring back McCarthy. Yeah, it seems like he was right. Puck to the face. Barry, please deposit this directly into the Citizen Vigilante Fund. ID have sent more, but I just made a very large investment in Freedom Seeds. You go, and I will. Alec, snapshot of socialism, store shelves during C-19. Remember the toilet paper? I never even understood that, why toilet paper was running scarce. Alec, the meaning of the phrase to take a Fauci changed from to take a jab to take the fifth in one day. Indeed. NJ Prepper, my family is Polish and heard similar sentiment. Fazul, 50K broke people enter 80K city. What can go wrong? 50,000 people. Melvin, Barry, you made that great point. The Dems affordability point will become availability standing with the DSA commies. Time to fire up this term availability instead of affordability. Indeed, we won't have to worry about affordability. Jonathan, my mom passed away on Monday. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Staph infection. I'm devastated, but I thank God for you. I've watched you for over 2 years. I look at you like you're my family because you are my MAGA brother. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry to hear that. So sorry to hear. We'll keep you and she in our prayers tonight. That's sorry to hear that. Lele, thanks for everything. I can't chat with everyone. I'm in California to see my son and his family for 2 weeks. Be careful out there in La La Land. Linnell, we're all in the same ocean, but not in the same boat. We have to do what is necessary to keep our own boats afloat. Well said. Fazul, remember, half the fraudsters may be your neighbors. Indeed. Keep an eye out. Chiosop, Facebook has a video of mostly peaceful invaders throwing rocks at police, overwhelming cars and burning cars in Spain. No one has gone back to Morocco. I know that's a crock. Nobody is going back. Chiosop, has anyone blamed Trump or the Jews for Spain? Yes. Yes, indeed. Somebody, I'll show you that in a second. Somebody has indeed blamed the Jews. Why'd you have to say that? You brought it up. SV and I were cracking up this afternoon. Randazzo, national debt created is a lie in order to keep taxing us to pay for the U.S. aid type slush fund. Like I said at the end of last show, let me take a second. Hopefully everything will stay up. Whenever I've had to get a car loan, a mortgage, anything, you have to sign a piece of paper. It says, I agree to pay this back. Anybody ever seen a note signed by anybody that says we borrowed money? We keep hearing about the debt ceiling. We keep hearing that we keep borrowing money. Who's borrowing it? Where's the paperwork? Why can we not see it? I can read the Constitution. I can read the Declaration of Independence. I can read all these citations and laws and Supreme Court hearings, but I can't see the promissory note for the money you're borrowing in our name. Interesting. Fazul, 5 ICC countries flipped. One word, tariffs. Indeed. Alec, ICC court equals deep state court. Bingo. Robert, Pobra Espana. I wish I knew what that meant, but thank you. A smart Spain invasion for control of the Strait of Gibraltar. Good point. Very good point. Chiosop, has anyone blamed Trump? Oh yeah, yes, they have. I'll show it to you in a second here. No, I won't. I don't want to. SB could do it. I smell an uprising. It better be. I think we need to have an uprising and a serious butt kicking. Penny McCorder, the globalists don't care about the innocent people of Iran. If they did, they would have cared about the 54,000 protesters killed by the IRGC. Great point. Nobody even talks about that. Yeah, connection glitch. Iranians just asked Minnesota. yeah, I had a cyber tech. Now that I said I was going to stop, it seems to have stabilized and is working. So I wanted to get the super chats in. Now that I got the super chats in, What I'm going to do is I'll continue with the show, and if it shuts down again, I would feel okay stopping everything because I've acknowledged all those super chats. So while it's working, let's go ahead and continue for a little bit.
State and Nate Foy is in New York City with more. Hi.
Hey, Dana. Yeah, the clock is ticking here. Starting on August 25th, New York law enforcement will be prohibited from cooperating with ICE. But now some Republican leaders in the state are trying to find a legal workaround to continue doing that. New York Attorney General Letitia James sent a letter to a dozen local governments informing them of the new law and the establishment of a statewide bureau called the Office of Immigrant Trust. We've seen several anti-ICE protests in New York, but in nearby Nassau County, Executive Bruce Blakeman tells Fox he's talking with lawyers to find legal ways to continue supporting ICE.
In 1 year, we removed 2,000 illegal migrants with criminal records from rape, attempted murder, robbery, burglary, drug dealing, gang activity. 2,000 people. Where do you want me to put these people back? What community do you want to destroy?
Dana, Blakeman is challenging New York Governor Kathy Hochul in November's election. Hochul says New York will always support arresting criminals, but there will be zero cooperation for civil immigration enforcement.
Let me be very clear. No county executive, no sheriff is above the law. And it's time that we now have a chance to show our values and our morals as a people.
Who? What do you mean, our values? What do you mean? You're telling me everybody in the state of New York has the values of letting these people run wild? Well, that tells me you're not taking seriously your job. That tells me you need to be voted out if you think our values are not to enforce the law. That you feel the necessity to protect newcomers. You're putting them and their criminality over the protection of people who live in New York. The very number one job you're supposed to have is to protect New Yorkers. Newcomers are subsequent to that. Why are these people basically falling on the sword to make sure that they protect the newcomers? Well, it's obvious to me.
Because the contrast in Washington is sickening.
We'll see how things shape up before the 25th.
Okay, so on August 25th, the mandate is in New York. The entire state is that local law enforcement cannot cooperate with ICE. She's setting up a really bad number one, a bad timing for this, because obviously August 25th comes way before 9/11. And so you're going to make it so, and the timing can't be just a coincidence. She must have realized we got to put this in place before 9/11, before Mandami does whatever craziness he does. And you're telling local police across the entirety of the state they can't arrest any newcomer on a civil infraction. Well, that's insane. And so now you're going to have ICE agents in there with probably Border Patrol, and Tom Homan's not going to be backing down. So we shall see how that turns out.
Fox News Alert, we just got our hands on the Biden tapes, and now we know the truth. Over 70 hours of unfiltered, raw recordings between Joe and his ghostwriter were just made public by the DOJ. And for years, the Bidens have been trying to keep you from listening to these tapes. The Bidens and the Democrats paid lawyers a small fortune to bury them. Why? They're pretty bad.
Now, before you listen to some of this, if you haven't heard it, the thing I want you to remember first and foremost is that he ran against President Trump to be president again in 2024. And at the debate in June of 2024 is when the world saw him walk out there and basically poop his pants in front of everybody. We saw it then. Now, I want you to understand what you're about to hear happened all the way back in 2016, 2017. So he had lost his marbles for 6 or 7 years, which means the entirety of his campaign, he was a zombie being propped up to merely act as though he was a candidate, and everybody around him, including the media, knew he was a walking Depends commercial. That is the most stunning thing about this, that when you hear this, you have to imagine, wait a second, this wasn't during the campaign. Oh, no. This was way before the campaign. He was already cooked.
In Munich, but after Angela Merkel, president's working lunch with, hang on a second. It's confusing me. I was going to ask you something else. Oh gosh. I can't think what it is.
This is the guy who had his pulse on the nuclear football, on the button. This is the guy who they said was sharp as a tack. This was the guy that they wanted to run for president and then ran him and tried to get him elected and over the finish line in 2024. And this guy is doing this years ago.
This wasn't when Biden was president. These tapes are 10 years old. Right after Biden was Barack's VP, he tried to write a book, but couldn't remember a thing.
I know what you're thinking. You're like, somebody's got to hang for this. Somebody has got to go to jail for this, is what you're thinking. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but that's probably not going to happen. I think at this point, exposure is what's needed to let everybody know how much these people are scumbags. Because at this point, we've talked about it many times, almost ad nauseum here. There's no remedy. There's no citation. There's no statute that says if you lie on your campaign and you're actually, talking through a drool cup, you should have everything rescinded. That's what everybody wants. They want the election rescinded. They want the orders. They want the appointment of DEI, Ketanji Jackson. They want to take back everything he did. And the Democrats were smart enough to know if we somehow get this done, they can't do anything about it. The brightest minds in the world have looked through all this stuff and went, I don't know what we do. There's nothing there. We can't arrest him under what statute? And so I think that's the stark reality so many Americans have to have at this point. You have to realize they pulled a fast one. And as hard as that is to understand and even harder to accept, they scammed America and they're pretty much going to get away with it. It's disgusting. It makes you just want to drive to Delaware and put two in the back of his head yourself. It's that bad. But unfortunately, the brightest minds have looked at this and went, there was nothing in place for us to do what the remedy is. And so now it's all coming out. The media on the left won't even talk about it. But this guy couldn't even hold a conversation in 2017. Never mind the entirety of the campaign, hiding him in basements and doing all that stuff. They knew this 10 years ago.
Not even the names of his own staff.
I had the team that said, including the two guys who I think were with me, were, the guy at Princeton now, the economist, good guy, was our chief economic advisor, not Kaufman, think of his name, and the guy back out at the University of Chicago with a funny name, I'll think of it.
Goolsby is one. Yeah, Goolsby is in Chicago.
And the other guy's at Princeton.
Yeah.
We should write the name down so I keep forgetting.
I should write the names down because I keep forgetting. A lot of people don't have the greatest of memories. I understand that. I can't fault anybody for not remembering somebody's name. You're a politician. You're shaking, thousands of people over your career. But you can't even remember the smallest of details. And there's hours and hours and hours of these videotapes.
This proves Biden's brain was fried in 2017. But 10 years later, when he was even more deteriorated and falling asleep during debate prep, this is what the media told you.
Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever.
You know, after hearing that and seeing that over and over and over, probably 100 times in the last 2 years, it just makes me wonder how anybody could ever turn on MSNBC ever again. I'm not in the habit of letting people lie to me. I don't want you to look me right in the face and lie to me. And now I know without any doubt, you look at me. Look at me. I'm going to tell you, this is the sharpest Joe Biden we've ever seen. And go after yourself if you don't believe me. Well, you lied.
Tapper wrote a book about how everybody knew Joe was cooked, but they had to stop Trump, so they lied to you. They even raided Trump's house for classified documents after Biden bragged about having an illegal skiff in his garage.
So this was early on in 2009. I just found all the classified stuff downstairs.
2009. Hey, I have all this classified information I'm not supposed to have. I wasn't even president. It was Barack stuff, and I had it downstairs in the garage. And they all knew this. While they were doing all this stuff to Trump, while they were going through the impeachments, while they were trying to put him in jail, while they were raiding Mar-a-Lago, this moron admitted in 2009 he had classified documents. This won't see the light of day. Unless you talk to people about it, there are too many people right now who have drawn their lines and say, I don't care what anybody did on the left. I don't care. At this point, my only objective is to find a way to stop you maggots. That's the problem I think we're in right now. Yes, Jesse, I'm glad you did this section. It gives people the opportunity to really dig deep and see what's going on. But now it underscores what I was saying earlier. What I was saying earlier is that we have a opponent, an enemy that wants to just completely destroy our way of life. We have evidence without any equivocation that they will lie and obfuscate and say anything to get to their ends. And then you've got people on our side who are bitching about the most menial of things for clicks, likes, instead of understanding, look what they're doing to us. Why are everybody at our side looking to take these people out as if our lives depend on it? Because they do. I don't want to be I won't be having this kind of conversation if they win, because we will all go dark. There won't be any second chances. There won't be any, I wish I could have. Because we have the time to make sure we don't have I wish I could have, I should have. We now know they're willing to do this.
Some of this may be classified, so be careful with it. I'm not sure. It's not more classified, but the next thing I have here is this is classified.
This is probably something that goes to the presidential papers.
I don't think so. It was in between. I didn't want to turn them in. Right.
They prosecuted Trump for the crimes Biden committed and admitted to. Then when Fauci shut down the country, they hid Biden in the basement, flooded the zone with ballots, pulled the big guy across the finish line, and then went on an auto pen bender with spending and DEI. Then an hour before Trump got inaugurated, in the bitter cold, whoever was controlling the auto pen pardoned Fauci. Why?
Well, because they knew. They knew what they had done. They had to wrap it all up in a tiny bow, and they did Fauci and they did Hunter. They basically had to make sure their two henchmen were taken care of. And I'm not talking about Hunter's stuff with the hookers and the guns and the blow. I'm talking about the stuff that he did over in Ukraine and the money and everything else that he was doing. How they were laundering cash. We had to go ahead and take care of Hunter, make sure nobody knows anything about that. And then they had to take care of little Dr. Mengele. Somebody knew. Somebody knew we need to tie this up. And by the way, boys and girls, it'll be to a point where they can't do anything. Except there is something that can be done. I'll tell you about that in a second.
Did Fauci lobby for a pardon? We'll find out tomorrow when Rand Paul asks him under oath. Did he have a guilty conscience? Well, he did fund gain-of-function research at a sloppy lab where a virus escaped and left 1 million Americans dead. He shut down the American economy on a whim.
So, the good news with all of this is actually bad news. The good news is what they make fun of us. They call us conspiracy theorists and tinfoil hat wearers and things of that nature. Because the only way I see that we get any of this stuff done and protect this country is we are going to have to do, when I say we, President Trump is going to have to do something that is so going to blow up this country that they are going to go absolutely ballistic. He is going to have to do some executive orders, whether it's the Insurrection Act, whether it is going full Jacksonian. There is no other way. We've been saying it, some of us have been saying it for years. And now it's funny because even though I had heard it, even though I had looked into it, now I can actually see with everything happening from the fraud, from the virus, from Biden, from the auto pen, now I am 100% positive the only way this country survives is through the military. That's it. There is going to be no laws. There is going to be nothing that they're going to do through the court system. There's nothing that they're going to be able to do to fix this. It is going to be pull the pin, blow it all up. You're going to have to go full Bukele here in America. You're going to have to round up the judges. You're going to have to round up the Democrats. You're going to have to clean house. You can't leave a few rats in the basement. You can't do a little bit of termite extermination when there's another nest over here. You're going to have to do it all. And my question is, I don't know if Americans on the right are ready for it. You got all these people saying, we're communists, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I don't think people are pulling up their big boys and big girls' boots and going, this is going to get gnarly. Because there is no other remedy. And he's showing you. Took to the court, this other judge, Bo Asperger. They keep doing and throwing up stuff. Nope, not going to do it. We're not going to even vote for the Save America Act. We're not doing anything to help Trump. We want this to go away. We want MAGA to go away. And so you tell me, everybody keeps waiting for arrests. Arrests aren't going to work. Judges are going to put these people back out. They're going to say your warrant wasn't any good. Just can't do anything. So all of the people who are like, I'm so frustrated, nothing's happening. The only thing I feel that we can do, what President Trump can do, is bring the military in. And make sure that Pete Hegseth has the right people in place to do all the tribunals that we need to see happen. And for that to happen, it's going to freak people out. You think to yourself, how are you going to clear out the Democrats? How are you going to clear out the socialists? How are you going to clear out the media? How are you going to clear out the people who give them money? There is no other way. I don't foresee us surviving past 2028 if that doesn't happen. So I'm not looking for the Save America Act to get passed. Sorry. Don't see that happening. Even if it got passed, it'd be in court the next day trying to stop it. Some judge will say, nope, there's an injunction. They can't wait to do what they want to do in this election. They know their alternative. Now think about it from this perspective. If we sit back and realize at this point, we've got to pull the plug, to pull the pin out the grenade and take care of business the hard way for us, they're thinking it too. They know they're going to have to pull the pin on their side. They're not just going to sit back and let us do it. They got too much at stake. Way too much. Actually, more than many Americans have at stake. They know the crimes they have done. Am I scaring you? You should be. You should be at this point scared, because once you start looking at it from that perspective and saying, oh, we only got 20 senators that want to break the filibuster, or no, not want to break the filibuster, 20 senators that just want to stay off a recess. Never mind, we can't get them to break the filibuster. We can't get enough people to stay in Washington. Let that sink in. We can't keep enough people in Washington to get the jobs done that we elected them for. I want to go home. I got to go fishing. Never mind pass the Save America Act. That's a bridge too far. So every single Sunday, this Sunday we'll hear it too, and we'll hear them talking, and it's going to go back and forth, and we should be doing this and everything else. It ain't going to happen. Let's be real. I think the sooner we are real to each other and get used to it and accept it, the better it's going to be. If we start talking amongst ourselves and say, screw the Save America Act, that ain't gonna, don't waste your breath. That ain't gonna happen. I know some of you guys right now are like, Barry, what are you talking? Not gonna happen. Think of everything you've seen and how they are fighting. Even if tonight they said we got the Save America Act, they will be in court tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning to stop it. And we're going to play this dance and keep going the whole time. I don't foresee, maybe I shouldn't have said what I said tonight, but I don't think we're going to see this country saved unless we bring in the military and round them up. Just do whatever you need to do. We're going to have to pray and suck it up, because, well, you'll see here in a second.
112 times to invoke the Fifth Amendment. I mean, you can't even string all that together. That obviously, it sends a message. Will that strategy work? Because he says, well, I had to do that because, they're looking for perjury traps. Or does that just make it worse, and is he in real trouble?
I think it makes it worse. It's even a curious way in which you wonder what his legal advice was, why they decided to do that. Yeah. Because he does not face criminal jeopardy for the pardon in all likelihood. He's pardoned for all actions before January 2025. But that also means that you're forced to testify. That's how prosecutors use immunity.
Okay, so this is an attorney that CNN brought on, giving them the bad news that Fauci's in trouble. But you could talk to 1,000 different attorneys. Nobody knows the answer. This is, again, one of those quagmires that everybody's talking about. And like, just rip off the frickin' Band-Aid. Throw his little ass in jail. Put him in Guantanamo. Let him rot down there. They called you a fascist for so many years. Maybe you're going to have to get a little bit fashy. I'm saying, can't be soft, got to go for it. At this point, be real. Start looking at the playbook and going, yeah, that ain't going to work. Wait, I don't know if that's going to happen. It's August. Tomorrow is August. The midterms are in November. We don't have time to F around with this stuff.
Pardons, and they say now you're forced to testify because you don't have any criminal liability for what we're going to ask you about. So then to plead the Fifth is actually, he could then be held in contempt. There could be, theoretically at least, a Justice Department that goes after him for not answering when he is not really facing that criminal charge.
Yeah, and also when the reason put out is perjury traps, then of course, again, to the layperson, it's saying, well, why wouldn't you just say the truth? What would be the problem in that? Yeah. So, I understand that's a layperson thing, but it doesn't sound good.
We're dancing. We're dancing around the dance floor. We're dancing with the stars at this point. It sounds good. It's like red meat. It makes us happy. Come on. What's your goal? Our goal is the midterms. Our goal is the presidential election. That's what we need to protect. Fauci, he's 85 or whatever. Yes, he did some really nasty stuff, and I hope he chokes on it. But is he the prize? Or is that the steak knives? We get the steak knives and we get the Jeopardy home game because we get Fauci at 85 to go to jail. That doesn't even make me smile. That doesn't do anything for 2026. It makes us go back, but I think now everybody knows he did what he did, which his shame is something he's going to have to deal with, and those of us who are Christians know he's going to be judged in the afterlife.
You know, there were doctors like Peter McCulloch and Robert Malone and Pierre Corey who were saying from the beginning, they were looking at the data and saying, yeah, this causes myocarditis. It causes blood clots. It causes myocardial pulmonary infarctions. And they were being censored. They were being vilified, marginalized, demonized, delicensed, publicly scolded by the press. The media malpractice is really what I think we should focus on, because anybody who questioned Dr. Fauci was put off on an island.
Yeah, we couldn't even talk about it. I've never seen anything like it, how they muzzled half of America. You're going to take this pill, you're going to like it. And don't even think about telling other people that, well, you know, I took this stuff called ivermectin. Oh, you mean horse paste. Zap him, zap her, make them go away, never to be heard from ever again. How dare they say those words? You question the great Fauci? Grown-ass people who have their own functioning minds, who went to their own doctors, and the doctor's like, I got the right thing for you. Do you realize maybe many of you do, even if you had a prescription for hydrochloroquine, or you couldn't even get CVS to fill it. Like, look, here's my prescription for my doctor. Fill it. No, we're not going to fill it. What do you mean? It wasn't until that happened that I realized that a pharmacist could say no. As long as I had this piece of paper, I'm supposed to get my stuff. No. And of course, there was nothing we could do. I'm tired of hearing there's nothing you could do about it. I'm tired of having the recollection and understanding there's nothing you can do about it. You can take that prescription and wipe your hiney with it. But it's going to make me better. It's going to prevent me from getting this thing. Nope, you can't have it. You had to go around in alleys and talk to the other doctors at compound pharmacies, hoping they would do something for you. And it was like black market stuff. You meet the pharmacist in the alley. Can I get some of that Ivor stuff, man? It was insane. And now we're looking back on it. No, it did work. It worked really well. It's cheap and readily available. That's why you can't have it.
Riots. And the media every day was telling us, trust the experts. Well, he was the expert. And we now know he was lying about everything. He was lying about masks. He was lying about social distancing. He was lying about lockdowns. He was lying about natural immunity. He was lying about the ability of the vaccine to prevent transmission and to prevent infection. He got the vaccine and he immediately got COVID-19, and then he got a pulmonary infarction. He was lying about
That blew me away. I just found that out last week. That the guy who was pushing this stuff nearly died himself. Nearly kicked the bucket from the stuff that he was telling everybody else to take. And then when he got better, kept telling people take more. Oh, you need 2, 3, 4 booster shots. Get all your boosters.
Origins from day one. Why was he lying? Because he funded those studies at the Wuhan lab. And he funded the studies at the University of North Carolina that developed the techniques for weaponizing COVID-19, and then gave those, Ralph Barrick, his funded scientist at the University of North Carolina, gave those to Xi Jinping, the scientist, the bat lady scientist in the Wuhan lab, and he taught her a technique that Anthony Fauci had paid him to develop, called seamless ligation, which is also called no-seam. It's a way of manipulating the virus to make it deadly to human beings and then covering up the evidence of human manipulation. And why would anybody spend NIH money developing that kind of technology. It's bioweapons technology. It has nothing to do with public health. It's the opposite. It's the inverse of anything you would want to do with public health. Well, he took that and he gave it to the Chinese military lab at Wuhan. So these are, and as you mentioned at the beginning of this, we today, NIH, has now issued a policy to make sure these kind of experiments can never happen again, that NIH will never again pay for a dangerous gain-of-function experiment.
You know, that's why the networks are having a hard time with people like us, is because if RFK Jr. was talking, I'd sit there and shut up. I wouldn't be playing the music to let him know, hey, the hook is coming. You got to stop talking. I got the hook coming. We got to get to a commercial. No, I hate that on Hannity's show. You ask a question, then you need to stop the guy because you got to go to a commercial instead of letting him talk. And he was talking, wasn't he? He was giving you some information you hadn't heard. You didn't know he lied about this and lied about that and lied about the other thing. And then he walks inside the courtroom and says, I'm taking a fifth. What a piece of crap.
Before the COVID pandemic, Dr. Fauci, as head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases.
Remember this? Remember when she dropped this right before she had to leave and everybody was wondering what's happening? What's going on? This was Tulsi talking about Dr. Fauci.
Provided millions in U.S. taxpayer dollars to fund dangerous gain-of-function research on bat coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, work which is now widely viewed as the source of the unintentional lab leak that sparked the pandemic. Now, in support of President Trump's maximum transparency mandate, today, on my final day as Director of National Intelligence, I'm releasing never-before-seen communications and documents that expose exactly how Fauci worked with politicized career leadership in the intelligence community to suppress the truth about his actions.
Now, see, when this happened, we're all like, oh, this is goody stuff here. And then, of course, the media quickly poo-pooed it, didn't want to talk about it, and many people forgot about it. I'm sure Fauci's attorneys didn't forget about it, but she had piles of documentation that she actually released to the American public. Not too many people, I shouldn't say not too many people, I can say not too many people on the left even looked. They didn't want to know. And if we posted something on X, oh, that's old. It doesn't really mean anything. And nobody really wanted to talk about it. Our complete compliance by the media is one of the things that I think Brendan Carr's got to start pulling some licenses. He's got to turn some of these media people completely off. They've covered and were complicit in the whole thing from the beginning.
The virus's lab leak origins, and his role in directing U.S. funding for this dangerous research that caused immeasurable harm and countless lost lives. Now, these documents expose Fauci's direct role in influencing and manipulating IC assessments on COVID-19 and how Fauci lied to Congress in 2024 when under oath he denied knowledge of or participation in discussions with intelligence officials about viral research.
All right, so she dropped all the information that Rand Paul was asking. He answered these questions under oath. They now know for sure he lied. And so when they're like, hey, did you talk about this? On their advice of counsel, I have to keep my mouth shut or else I'm going to jail. But you already have a pardon. Your pardon says that you can talk about it because we know you did it. See, but part of this was, I don't think he was worried so much about the pardon not being invalidated. I don't think he wanted the embarrassment. Because if he had the ability to speak freely, which supposedly the Fifth Amendment wasn't even something he could invoke because he had a pardon. So all he had to do is, did you do this? Unfortunately, I made a mistake. Did you do that? I misread the data. He could have just said anything. It wouldn't have mattered. The only thing he couldn't do was save face. And that's one of the reasons why I think he lied. I don't think he thinks they're going to, poo-poo the pardon. I don't think his ego would allow him to have people asking him questions, even though he was invincible. He's got a pardon to say, you're not that good. You were wrong. You could have said, I did it on purpose, and based on that pardon, you're still covered. I don't think he wanted to face the camera and face those people and understand it would completely destroy all his remaining integrity.
He also received testimony from multiple intelligence community whistleblowers who reported retaliation for challenging the intelligence community's manipulation of intelligence on the virus's origins. Once again, revealing a clear pattern of suppressing dissent, silencing critics, and burying the truth. Dr. Fauci's close relationships with the intelligence community enabled him to assume three key roles that shield him from scrutiny. First, Dr. Fauci funded dangerous gain-of-function coronavirus research linked to Big Pharma and their pursuit of universal vaccines worth trillions of dollars. Second, Dr. Fauci was the behind-the-scenes advisor who, alongside his hand-picked so-called experts, pushed the intelligence community to endorse a natural animal origin to hide his dangerous gain-of-function research that he funded using taxpayer dollars, all of this in a deliberate attempt to cover up the truth and shift the blame and attention away from Fauci's own actions. Third, Dr. Fauci became the nation's pandemic pundit, and he publicly pushed lies, disinformation, and censorship using every platform available.
And the thing with that is all the media people complied. They were completely complicit. They were a part of the crime. Now, interesting, none of those people have immunity. None of the people on CNN, none of the people on CBS, ABC, NBC, MSNBC, none of them have immunity. And so if somehow it could be proven that they knew he was lying, and I'm sure they've got some sort of documentation, they could go to jail for a long time. Now, that would be very satisfactory. I'd love to see that.
Now, according to hundreds of reviewed emails, which are included in this release, the intelligence community almost always incorporated Fauci's recommendations. He promoted a fraudulent paper whose publication he helped prompt as legitimate information for intelligence community consideration. Senior analysts praised Dr. Fauci not as a policymaker, but as what they called an unbiased guide to the real coronavirus experts, while deliberately ignoring experts who might dissent from Fauci's narratives. Now, Fauci didn't stop there. He blatantly lied to Congress under oath during his 2024 testimony to the House Select Subcommittee on the coronavirus pandemic, denying that he ever spoke to any intelligence agency about COVID. Now, the correspondence I'm releasing today directly contradicts his sworn testimony. Now, we received statements from multiple whistleblowers revealing that the intelligence analysts who dared to challenge Dr. Fauci's COVID origin conclusions faced threats of retaliation, marginalization, and many suffered career setbacks.
All right, so that's important. They've got stool pigeons already in the wings. They already have whistleblowers. They already have documentation. They can't really go after Fauci unless it's something not covered in the pardon. But pretty much since they went all the way back to 2014, almost every single thing that he did happened in that period of time. So if they can hold him on contempt of court, then they're going to be able to do something with it. But again, I think all of this is more for you. For those of you who had any doubt, you are hearing this. You could go look at the documents that Tulsi Gabbard put out on her last day, incidentally. You now have all this information that you can digest and understand without any doubt whatsoever that your government did you in. See, I'm waiting for the civil suits. I'm waiting for people to take the civil suits and find a courtroom somewhere where they completely sue the government for 10, 15, 20 million dollars for their grandma or their aunt or anybody who succumbed and took this stuff because of what Fauci said. I think we need to bury him with lawsuits. The best way to hurt somebody like him is in his pocket. He was the highest paid governmental employee. I have no idea why. But those people, how do you hurt them? I don't think it's the jail cell. I think it's the courts. Start suing him. People who had relatives, there's so much information now. I mean, there's got to be attorneys out there who take this stuff on contingency and go, I'm going for it. I am going to go for it. I'm going to sue Fauci.
For example, a contractor was terminated just days after coming forward to ODNI as a whistleblower. Another example, those who advocated for the lab leak hypothesis or expressed dissenting views were reminded by their managers that leadership would determine which analysts would be promoted and which would not. The message was clear: go along or be punished. Senior leaders also sought to undermine whistleblowers by removing anonymity, which is required in the whistleblower process, as they made their complaints, and also insisting that their managers or attorneys be present during ODNI meetings where these whistleblowers were coming forward with their testimony, obviously creating an atmosphere of intimidation. The COVID pandemic caused tremendous hardship and pain for millions of our fellow Americans and countless people around the world.
As you're watching this, I was going to put up a poll, and I was going to ask, how many of you have seen this? And that would be a good indication, as you see people maybe answering in the chat, have you seen this before? Of how many people haven't seen the knowledge, the information, the documentation that she put out on her last day. Because the media quickly made sure people didn't see it, didn't talk about it. It's still there. You can still go and look it up, but you have to find it. So I wonder, tell me in the chat, how many of you guys have seen this?
Now, after years of lies and censorship and cover-ups, the American people deserve transparency, truth, and accountability. The tactics that were used to hide the truth are straight from the deep state playbook. Politicized self-serving leaders like Dr. Fauci covered up their own wrongdoing and abuses of power, manipulated intelligence, lied to Congress, and undermined a duly elected president by restricting his access to the vital facts he needed to keep the country safe. It's time you know the truth.
It's time. And so now, having seen the Fauci hearing, and you watched him come up there and take the fifth and basically tuck his tail between his legs, now you look at this and go, in conjunction with what she put out there, and realize this guy is probably worse than you imagined. That it wasn't just him. As she was talking, she named the intelligence community, which now you can probably tie into Bill Pulte. When Bill Pulte got brought in, he went in and got rid of a whole bunch of people in the intelligence community. How did he know where to start? She had a mountain of evidence of people who conspired with Fauci. And so when they were saying, oh, he's just doing Trump's bidding and he's doing this and he's doing that, they don't know the mountain of evidence that he had. You know the word they use all the time? Where's the evidence? We're not showing it to you. We got it. She just said, here it all is. Then they probably redacted names. Those people are probably on the chopping block. Absolutely crazy.
And I heard you say something I never heard you say before last night watching you. Because when I see something like this, I got to watch my man Chris Cuomo. And Chris Cuomo said, Dr. Fauci did look like he had something to hide. You never said that before.
You plead
so
the
what
fifth?
I'm saying to you...
Because anybody who pleads the fifth...
No, I get you.
Anybody who pleads the fifth seems like they're trying to hide something.
Yeah.
You know?
That's fair. But what I'm saying is, considering your profound respect for this man, your knowledge of his record, his resume, his history, I know how deep it hits you for that to come from you.
See, that's one of the things. They're Chris Cuomo. You know, he was good friends with Fauci. He's one of his paisans. He's another Italian. And so it hurt him to the core And he also knows, his brother was in New York and the governor and everything else. And he's like, I know the type of guys that do this, the guys that come out there and talk like that, all taking a fifth on stuff that he obviously knows because he's in the media. And when he was at CNN, he probably was in some of those meetings. And now he knows something didn't look right here.
And what I'm saying is, even though you'd say that about anybody pleading the fifth, go watch yourself talking about somebody pleading the fifth and then re-air how you looked last night when you said it about Fauci. He's different. And it's emblematic of what I said about him just now in terms of how Americans looked at him a few years ago. He was the gospel. He was the face of science. We trusted him.
No we about it. Some of you idiots trusted him. Maybe you and Fredo here trusted him. I never trusted him. There were just too many manifestations and looks and things he was saying. It didn't make any sense. I don't know how anybody could trust somebody who says, yes, you can pull your mask up to eat and the thing won't be able to jump from another person, even though the person sitting next to you on the plane, they're eating some peanuts or something too. And the person sitting next to them is sipping a soda, but for some reason, the virus goes, hold up, pause, they're eating. And they put their mask on. All right, game back on. Let me see who I can get after here. Did it ever make any sense to you? No. Hey, put your arms out 6 feet. Don't get next to anybody. And I'm like, how does it know? Don't walk down the same aisle as somebody. We're going to have one-way aisles in the grocery store. And I'm thinking to myself the whole time, this is a complicity argument. This is a training exercise. They wanted to see how far they could push people. Like, what are we doing? What the hell are we doing? We're going to go to a restaurant and sit down, but we got to put a mask on except for when we're eating? You're going to go to the grocery store, stand 6 feet away from somebody, but when you go to pay, you're using the PIN pad, everybody's putting their fingers on it. You're putting your hands on the cart. Yeah, I know some people wiped it down, but what the hell are we doing? And I think it was almost like aliens to me. I remember saying to Robin, I just think they're looking at us right now going, oh, they did it. Yeah, well, let's see if they do it. Oh, they did it too. They're doing the whole 6 feet thing. Make sure nobody comes around. Then you go to the produce department and people are picking up mangoes. And I'm like, wait a second, this ain't making no sense. Why aren't the mangoes and coconuts individually wrapped? Why are people squeezing apples and oranges and stuff and then putting them back down? Why are buffets open? People are going to buffets. When you critically looked at it and stepped back, which is what Robin and I did, we're like, this don't make any sense. And I remember telling her that day when we found out that, the advertising agency I was working at, I'm like, they're going to make us take this thing or you can't work. And I was so proud of her. She's like, well, I guess you won't be working there anymore. I'm like, yes. She knew right then, he's not going to do it. He's going to tell these people go pound sand and walk. And like 2 days before we were supposed to get it is when DeSantis came and said, nah, not here.
That is not a man we want to see pleading the fifth. Not him. I understand it based on the circumstances and the fact that he had testified over 20 times with Congress, but it's still him and it's science. And by the way, Chris, if he sat up there and said, and Rand Paul, Senator Paul said this morning to me, if he had sat there and said, look, man, I thought this, I made a mistake. It's not an exact science. I messed up. He said, what could we say? We could criticize him, but that's about it. We can't do anything else. What could we say? But that's not what happened.
That also threw that entire argument out the window in terms of saying, trust the science. Well, the science, as he used to call himself, stood in front of us and lied. I can't trust the science because he won't talk. Trust the science. Did this happen? At the advice of my attorney, I can't answer you. So you're telling me right now your science only went as far as your legal freedom would be imperiled. If for some reason trusting the science now has boundaries, I hope every single one of you at this point understands you now have a comeback to anybody said trust the science. Because now you definitively know you can only trust the science so far as it gets to whether or not somebody will stand behind the science that they blab. Otherwise, if they're not willing to stand beside it or behind it, then you can't trust it. Hey, Dr. Fauci, I trust the science. So did you know that this was happening? I can't tell you. What? You isn't that literally telling America you can't trust the science? Didn't he just go through like 2 hours of squirming and shaking and pleading the fifth to specifically let America know you can't trust the science? Which is fine with me, because now hopefully there's some people who woke the F up and realize just because he said it doesn't make it so, because he's not willing to stand behind his own words. It's not about the science. It's about my freedom. Now, all of a sudden, that's a completely different perspective. It has nothing to do with science. It has nothing to do with equations and probabilities and output and input. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with my freedom. And if you put my freedom up against the science, my freedom takes precedent. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to protect my freedom instead of that science I've been telling you to trust. I don't know if you looked at it that way. You're not willing to stand up in front of the so-called science that you were telling everybody else was golden. It was gospel. Take it to the church. This is it. All right, if this was it, did you know about this? Can't talk about that. From now on, every single one of these people, even RFK Jr., if you're telling people to trust the science, you better give them the information and be ready to stand behind it, even if it means your freedom is in peril. If you're not willing to be a man or woman and stand behind the statements that you make, regardless if they turn out to be false or whatever, then I don't want to hear you talk. In fact, that should be a press conference before anybody says anything. Are you willing to go to jail right now? You're going to waive any sort of Fifth Amendment, what do you call it, pardon? You're going to just waive it because, you're standing behind the science. No, I can't waive that. Oh, okay, then our interview is done. I got nothing to say to you. I don't want to listen to you. All right, so we got through the rest of the show and the connections stayed stable. And I always tell you, I want to keep you on an upbeat note as we leave. So with that, let me show you who, even though she's behind AOC, let me show you one of the front-running candidates for the Democrat Party and the different stance she's taking.
We need to revisit the Electoral College. We need to revisit the point of expanding the court.
Notice she said both those times we need to revisit. When did we visit? I didn't know there was anybody talking about expanding the court. I didn't know there was anybody talking about doing away with the Electoral College. But now the new improved Kamala is coming out at the National Urban Black League, and she's talking from the hood side of things, and we need to do this. Now, I want you to also listen to as the insanity that she's talking right now. She's not getting a whole lot of claps. She's in a big auditorium up on stage saying this. I don't think the brothers are like, what's she talking about?
To 13 justices like we have 13 district courts. We need to revisit, if they so want, statehood for Puerto Rico and D.C.
Yes.
If we regain control of the Senate. I served on this committee, the Senate Judiciary Committee, when I was in the Senate. Only the second black woman elected to the United States Senate after Carol Moseley Braun. And the Senate Judiciary Committee has the power to create rules for its committee that don't have to go to the whole Senate for a vote and worry about filibuster and all.
See how she got black on them? They don't got to do all that. So we're going to get rid of the courts, which she didn't run on. So it wasn't a revisiting. You never mentioned it. You want to make D.C. and Puerto Rico their own states. You want to revisit that. You didn't visit it to begin with. You want to do away with the Electoral College, want to revisit it. No, you never said that before. You would have got beat even worse. But now she sees the end with these socialist commies and saying, I'll run with that.
It's so unbelievable that they got rid of USAID. And you saw the recent numbers. As many as 700,000 people have died because of withdrawing American aid.
Brothers in the audience went, huh? Hey, what are you talking about? You're talking about sending my money to some Biafran kids that are dying of malaria, and there's 600,000. I don't know where you got that number. You just picked it out of your butt. No way to prove it. And I know sitting in that audience, what you're saying is you want to tax me more. This one didn't fall on an approving audience.
For humanitarian purposes.
that was a deaf room there. Like, what? You want to send my money to African kids? You want to tax me more so you can send it over there? I don't think that's going to fly, Kamala. Not at all. You may never hear that in a speech by her ever again. That might have been the trial balloon. Like, let me cross that off. Never mention sending money over there. I won't talk about that.
Just to revisit that point, what they are doing to cheat, some 19 states have done redistricting. Mm-hmm. And there are many more who didn't have to do redistricting because they already had cut the lines in a way that excluded blocks of voters. And this administration and the people who are leading in a lot of these places, they know that the people are not stupid. The people see that they're paying too much for gas and groceries and housing and childcare. They know on merit that they don't have a whole lot to be proud of. And so they know that if the people vote, it is very likely that they may vote them out of office. And so they are cheating.
I just want you to imagine something. In addition to all the stuff that she would do, can you imagine having to listen to her voice for 4 years? The people, they understand that the only way they can win is to cheat. You mean like you did with the corpse that was running with you? That we now know that you knew? You knew back in 2017, 2018, 29, you knew he was already gone. You knew he needed a drool cup during the debate. You played it off like it was no big deal. And then you want to talk about people not knowing. I couldn't even imagine listening to that for 4 years. I probably want to slit my wrists. But she wasn't getting the kind of applause she was hoping to get because anybody, including in that black audience, anybody who followed her knows that's not her. She put on a face, a clown suit in front of people that she was probably most familiar with and who was most familiar with her. You want to do what? You want to send my money over to Africa? You're calling them cheaters after everything we know? And so I just found it odd because I felt like she was testing, hoping that this stuff would hit a mark. And I think it felt real short. I mean, she'll have time to go ahead and try to hone her speech, but she won't. This is the sad part. She won't be able to stand up to AOC. Call AOC stupid and crazy, which she is, but she can talk better than Kamala. She can put on the ghetto accent. She can put on the accent for the South. She can do everything that Kamala tries to do and do it better. And she knows the socialist stuff inside and out. Kamala doesn't qualify. You just bought an $8 million house in a white neighborhood with a Jewish husband. Sorry, you ain't winning. These people are coming for you, Kamala. Save your face, save donor money, and enjoy the $8 million mansion and just shut up. They would lay waste to Kamala Harris. It's coming though if she tries to run. All right, so I got through everything, and I did super chats earlier. Let me see. What's up, man? How you doing? I don't know what was
Hey,
going
man.
on. I don't know what kind of
I plead the
gremlins were in
fifth.
the machine there.
I plead the fifth.
You, I plead the fifth. Let me check. You got anything before I close up here? Okay, you got a couple
Yeah,
things.
well, Elon Musk is hiring.
He's what? Hiring? Hold on. Let me show this.
The last cut.
Okay.
All right. SpaceX is hiring exceptional engineering and skilled trades, talent to build and operate the most powerful AI supercomputer clusters on and off Earth. If interested, please email 3 bullet points demonstrating evidence of exceptional ability in your resume to datacenters@spacex.com. I actually grokked. I said, how much of the starting salary? They don't actually list it, but some of the highest skilled engineers can get from $350K to like $400,000 a year.
Wow.
Prosperity.
Wow.
Yes.
And it's funny, as the Democrats and the Chinese are all trying to dissuade people against data centers. I would love to see how many resumes he ends up getting from people who want to go ahead and work for him. Making stuff. All right. Well,
The other story was Mark Rubio, but I don't know if you want to cover that now. But I did have a funny at the end. I just posted just a little. I like humor, as you know. So it's a meme showing what's going on in Spain.
Meanwhile, on the other side of Spain. Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
Humor is the best medicine.
They're all leaving town. We gotta get the hell out of here. Let's see, that's funny. And we can't get in trouble because that's all innuendo. Everyone sees it, knows it. Everyone knows what it's about. But we can't get in trouble. Oh boy. Thank God. I like that last one that jumped.
I know they fall out. They're good swimmers, unlike the immigrants who. Oh, never mind.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. All right, SB.
Yes.
Thank you for hanging out and getting
Have
through.
Have a great night, everyone.
Getting through everything. Thank you very much.
You got it.
I see there were a couple late super chats that I didn't cover before everything went down. Hold on, let me go back up here to where it was. Okay, this is where we left off before, and I shall continue with these. Wait 1 second, everybody. 1 second. Did I cover this one here? Yeah, okay, here we go. So I got this all lined up so I can go here and do this. Here we go. I remember that was Alec before we went forward. Chiosop, keep making fun of Fauci in public on his mistakes till he snaps and starts talking, trying to save his ego till he bites the cheese and snaps the trap. Yeah, don't let these people go public anywhere. I'm afraid Fauci-demic was a dry run. You could be right. Who knows what these people do? They're evil for sure. Tania, Barry, I see a new book title, Fauci F the World. Yeah, he did. In conjunction with other people. Macon Blankenship, twice today I missed your first hour. No worries, I'll watch later. I'm sorry about the computer issues today. I don't know if it resolved itself, but it seems to be working now. So I'm glad I didn't stop. Alec, where's the science when it comes to Transformers? They made it up. It's complete made up science. Alec especially says they can't even define what a woman is. Alec, how much did Kamala have to drink before that speech? It should make her do like an alcoholic sobriety test before she goes up there. Al Phelps, thank you. And finally, Neo, thank you. Thank you, Barry. Great show as always. The only place I hear truth is fanfare. God bless you and the team. God bless America. Well, thank you very much, Neo. And I'm glad you guys hung out to the end so we can get through everything. I will talk to you tomorrow, probably around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Thank you.